What's up, heels and baby faces? Welcome to another episode of the Countdown City WrestleCast. I'm your host, JC, with me is my buddy Tina.
Hi, guys.
Over here we got Tommy.
Yo.
Over there we got Mike.
Hashtag and Mike.
And Mike. And on the phone calling in is Tez.
Yeah.
Say what's up, Tez.
I'm coming to you from the space-time continuum.
Continuum.
Also known as cell phone land. All right.
Okay, fine that too.
Yes.
You just broke the fourth wall.
Oh,
Dang
come
it.
on. We're low budget. We're just happy we got phone
We're
calls
all
on this.
technical
That's
about
true.
Yes.
Well, we've been talking to them this whole time.
I know. Anyway, I just want to remind everyone to follow our
Don't
Twitter
spill the
account.
secrets.
So follow our Twitter account at CCG_WrestleCast and subscribe to the Countdown City Geeks YouTube channel. I love this. This
I
is
point to
hilarious.
things.
So today we're going to have a little special episode called Get to Know Your WrestleCasters. We started doing this show in August, really just kind of getting into subjects, talking about wrestling events. Had the interview with Chris and Marvel and realized that, you know, any new show, you really kind of want to get to know the people that are running the show, maybe find out a little bit more about what we like and dislike about wrestling in this case. So we did get a few questions submitted to us. Thank you. So we're going to kind of get started. The first question we got is, when did you get into wrestling? And anyone feel free to go first here.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead.
Go ahead.
I am the one that with the least viewing
You?
of wrestling.
Okay.
Growing up, I watched it here and there on TV. I wasn't like a big, huge fan, but I would watch it whenever it was on. It probably got really into it when during college or right after college. I actually went to a RCW show, which is River City Wrestling, a live independent wrestling show, and my cousin was a wrestler on there, and I watched the show, and I've never been in that environment, and I loved it.
Got all that aggression out,
I
right?
loved it, and
Yes.
that's actually where I met Tommy.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough,
And
I've known Tommy
JC.
that long. Well,
Eventually.
eventually,
Yes.
I met JC about 2 years
And then here we are.
after going to RCW shows, and ACW shows as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was mine.
Tez, what about you?
Let's see. I can recall being 4 years old and the TV was on WWF programming, and I distinctly remember the first I guess the first person associated with wrestling that I remember is Mean Gene Okerlund.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember him.
think everybody
I remember
remembers
him. I remember his voice. I remember watching him interview wrestlers, and I was very aware of wrestling. It was always just kind of on in the background, just kind of in my peripheral.
Yeah.
Didn't really get into it a lot of times, but if it was on, I watched it. That and some Lucha Libre. There was a lot of WWF and WCW stuff, and it probably wasn't until I want to say around junior high where I started really getting into wrestling, and video games played a lot in it. Me and a couple of my best friends at the time, a lot of us were in choir together in junior high, and a lot of us were wrestling fans, so we go over to each other's houses. And I remember playing WCW and WO Revenge on N64.
Wow.
Yes.
And that's what really kind of like got me to dive
Those are one of the better ones,
into
too.
wrestling.
That was probably the best
Yeah,
wrestling
it-
game until No Mercy came
that-
out.
But
Yeah,
I'll say
the
Legends.
AKI engine, man, the Aki engine, man, that was great.
Yes.
It worked out great, and it was just kind of went on from there, and then started going to indie shows. The first indie show I went to was for the Texas Wrestling Alliance.
Oh, boy.
Oh, wow.
If anybody remembers that, in 2000. I remember watching their show. Their show on, I believe it was on Channel 3 at around past midnight after they would air SmackDown before we got UPN here. So
Yeah.
Oh, back in
I
the
remember
day.
going.
Wow.
I remember going to one of their
And
shows
replay
actually
late night after
meeting,
Saturday Night Live.
yeah.
Bryan Danielson after the show.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that was awesome.
Tommy, what about you?
Mine, I just had to. That's why I was checking my phone. I had to remember because I always forget the year. The very first wrestling event I ever went to, my aunt got me actually into it. It was Survivor Series 1994, And my memory from that day, the only two things I remember was Yokozuna and The Undertaker. And their interest. Those are the only two things I really remember from that night.
I don't mean to interrupt, but you don't remember the special guest enforcer?
I did now.
Chuck Norris?
I mean, Mr. Chuck Norris.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's all good.
How do you forget Chuck Norris?
Chuck Norris.
Yes.
I was a kid. I was like,
Yeah.
what? I wasn't. Was I? How old was I? Like 6, I think. And like, I just went because the aunt who took me is like my favorite aunt.
Wait,
She.
you were 6? Oh my god.
Yeah. she was my favorite aunt. We did everything together. I didn't watch wrestling for like years after she passed away because like she died maybe like a year or two later. So I didn't watch wrestling for years.
Yeah.
And then when I got to high school, my best friends at the time were super into it, and they said, "Dude, just give it another try." I was like, "All right, cool." And then I fell in love with it. I loved it so much, and then everyone in my choir, like it says, I had friends who were in there, and they all knew I loved wrestling. We went. Here's the first indie wrestling show I went to, I was there by accident, and here's what I mean.
Accident.
Yeah, the first one I went to willingly was RCW, but the first one I went to was on accident. The very first indie wrestling show I went to was TWE, it was Texas Wrestling Entertainment, and here's how it happened by accident. We were at Splashtown, my entire youth choir. We were at Splashtown, and we were all just chilling, hanging out. We had been there for like an hour and a half, and I noticed guys were moving stuff around and setting stuff up, and I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" So I looked, and like 10 minutes later, like they were setting up a ring, and I was like, "Is this really happening?"
Yeah.
And my entire choir group said, all of my choir group, even our choir director was like, "How did we get here the one day they're having wrestling?
That's
Did
awesome.
Tommy plan this?" I was like, "No, but I'm gonna love every freaking second of this." And
I think Marvel mentioned that in the interview last week too about Splashdown and everything. Yeah.
and when it started, I didn't care what the rest of them were doing. I left them completely in the dust, and I sat there for like 2 hours.
Bye.
and like Big Dog was there, and
Oh my god.
I think was Jerome Daniels there? He might have been there. I think.
Wow, that was a long time ago.
Long time ago,
Yeah.
and.
Not that you're old, Jerome. It's just the
Yeah.
Splashtown stuff is pretty.
No, Jerome's old. I'm
You
kidding.
Strom, you started when you were like 12,
yeah.
right?
But
Good job, Self.
Yeah, that was the first event I went to. That's how I learned there was indie wrestling in San Antonio, because then that's where all my money went. The first jobs I ever had, 98% of my paycheck was always going to something wrestling related those weekends. It's like, and my parents, God bless them, said, "He's not doing drugs, he's not drinking, he's never been in trouble. We don't give a damn what he does. Go to wrestling, boy. Your grades are fine. We don't care. We really because my family would ask my parents, why do y'all let him go to all that wrestling? He does nothing else.
Yeah.
He doesn't get in trouble, and we don't care what he does. He stays out of trouble. Leave that boy alone."
Let him enjoy his hobby.
Let him enjoy it.
Yeah.
My backstory kind of runs with Mike's. I used
Of course
to.
it does.
Of course, yeah.
I feel like I should switch.
Otra vez. No,
Saying.
Well,
I
but
guess
go
I'll
ahead,
start. Like
'cause,
growing up, like
yeah.
I watched in the '80s as the Hulk Hogan, the Ultimate Warrior, the Roddy Piper. I mentioned my grandmother on this show. We would go to the Valley and visit her, and if Lucha Libre was on, you just didn't bother her and I was probably watching it with her. So that kind of stuff was on. I kind of got out of it, but then what I remember getting back into it when there was such a big deal, it made headlines, was that Hulk Hogan turned heel,
Yeah.
and that's where Mike and I were sophomores in high school when that happened. And we started talking a little bit about it. Like I started watching the Monday Night Wars. And then he says, "Well, I got tickets to the Royal Rumble in '97. I was like, "Yeah, I'd like to go." I think your dad was happy he didn't have to go with you.
Yeah, we'll get to that part.
Yeah, we'll get to that part. But that was my
Thank
first
God.
event. We were on the floor.
That's amazing.
I think there were $13 seats through your WWE magazine subscription.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yes.
dude, we are talking
get
back
there.
in
Don't
the
worry.
day.
Still the loudest I've ever heard the Dome,
WWE
by the way.
magazine.
Yeah.
Yes, and we've been to Rumbles and
Every 10 years.
NFL games every 10 years. It feels like it comes to San Antonio, but from there,
Yeah, that's right. Damn.
all through high school, Mike and I went to Raw, to Heat,
In San Antonio
I'm telling
and
you, I need to switch
Austin.
places.
in San Antonio and Austin, and then
They're about to have a moment.
yeah. So I was kind of just stuck with wrestling from then, and the Monday Night Wars, and then the first independent show I went to was RCW Royal Rumble weekend 2007. I think we happened to see a flyer, and then we all went to that, and it was we were just hooked from there. So
So because Brandon was advertising the crap out of it.
He's smart.
He
Dude.
always, yeah.
I remember
he's
being
smart,
in
but he
Ingram.
always
He
does
put
that.
flyers everywhere.
Yeah, he did.
I remember being in
There's still where
Ingram
he hasn't
for.
promoted the crap out of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's
true.
true.
Yeah, you're right.
I used to watch RCW on my TV in San Marcos when I went to Texas.
Yeah, they did have a brief TV
show.
deal.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, I remember that.
yeah, they had a brief
watching
TV
that.
deal for a while. I remember that.
I just remember we went to Ingram just for the Ken Kennedy and Mickey James autograph signing.
Shut up.
Yeah, but there was,
They
the
had
line
the
was
little-
super long. There was like no way, but they had like
A little experience there. At Ingram.
yeah, they had an experience at Ingram, even though Ingram's an experience now, right?
For real.
But they had like SmackDown
that
versus
bad.
Raw, and I remember some weird
Yeah.
dude was just like. He was playing the game and just thought he was better than everybody else, and he was just like beating everyone. Like what? And I got on there and I says, "All right, dude." And I picked hardcore
I
match
just
type
remember that.
and picked Rob Van Dam, and I gave him so many Van Terminators that I pinned him, and he walked away.
Just spamming them.
Yes, I put him through a table, off the ring, and then hit so many Van Terminators, and I was like, "Yeah, you, whatever, go." So.
Oh, that's
I'm gonna
great.
tell my
I
big
just remember
brother.
that.
He's gonna beat you up.
Yeah. So that was a blast though. It was just so like when I really started getting back into it was the Monday Night Wars is where Mike and I started watching a lot, and then we became best friends in high school a lot because of wrestling. I'd say. Yeah.
Nice.
So you, I mean, you got probably a bigger
Yeah,
story
so-
than we do.
Yeah, so I'm probably going to age myself here. Are me and you, first of all, the oldest?
Yes.
I think so. Yeah, I'm the oldest
Okay,
here. Yeah.
then
I think you guys are.
Yeah.
so here's what I know, and here's
Yes,
what my
yes.
parents have told me over the years. And they may still have it. I don't know if they ever got rid of it. There is a recorded 8-track
8-track.
from
Wow.
when I was 3 years old. And my dad is talking to me about Hulk Hogan, Roddy Piper, and I knew these guys and I knew their names.
Yes.
I've been lifelong as long as I can remember and have memories. I've watched wrestling. I think really what it was is my dad was a casual ladies fan, you know, for big
Excuse
names,
me.
Hogan
Yeah.
and Piper and Savage, and I just got hooked. And from as a little kid, and then apparently, you know, my dad got over it, my family got over it, I never got over it.
Yep.
I mean, I remember being like in 5th grade, and my older sister was like, "Look, it's fake. We happen to have a VCR that you could like slow down the play." She's like, "Look, if you look real close, he doesn't even hit him." And I was like, "It's real, I swear."
It's real to me,
I was that guy before he yeah.
That was in high school too. No, I'm just
right.
You were the original. It's
That was
still
2
real
days,
to me,
that was
man.
2 days ago. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, just all my life, and I was a Hulkamaniac. I was exactly what WWE wanted me to be.
Yep. I think we all were every now and again.
I mean,
Yeah.
as a
Oh,
young
yeah,
guy,
first, yeah.
I hated
Oh,
Piper.
that's our
I
next
hated
question,
Savage
actually.
because
Yeah.
I was supposed to.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I got older and realized more that you realize how
They
great
were
they are. But
playing
yeah,
you.
just
I think the older
Since I
you get,
was
you
a
realize
kid.
Piper was right all along.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and Savage was right all
and
along.
Hogan, man, that guy.
Yeah, seriously.
But yeah,
Yeah.
all my
I,
life.
I remember
pretty much.
getting hooked line and sinker to the Mega Powers imploding. So
Yes.
that whole storyline was insane. So
Yeah, that's fair.
well, that's our next question. Who was your favorites growing up? I think some of us answered that.
HBK.
Shawn Michaels
He
for
was
you.
even because like I told you, I sporadically watched it when I was growing up, and
Yeah.
I just remember every time I did turn it on, like he was the one that I was always like, oh my god, he's awesome. Like,
Yeah.
I guess it was also he was kind of smaller than everyone, like a normal human being, I guess.
Yeah.
And for him to be winning and you know doing really
Holding
good,
his own against the monsters. Yeah.
that
really.
I was just like hooked with being his fan. So like
Yeah.
and then I realized later on in life that he was from San Antonio, and I was like, oh my god, that's super cool.
Yeah.
What about you, Tommy?
Growing up, my first ones growing up, and this is gonna sound hilarious because he actually did terrify the crap out of me. Was the Undertaker?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
legitimately,
Yeah.
I was one of those kids who was legitimately actually scared of the Undertaker. Like he actually scared me. But he's like, oh, he's so amazing, but I'm terrified because my sister could do the eye roll thing. Like she used to do that. Like full disclosure, she used to do that. She did that to me. I think like maybe once or twice to the point where like I cried so bad she didn't do it to me anymore. like she did it to me, and I got terrified about that because I didn't know she could do. I didn't know anyone else could do that but the Undertaker. When she did it, I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
Again, guys, I was like 6. Leave me alone. So, but The Undertaker was probably the first one I really, really like loved. Like,
Yeah.
in that age range, anyway.
Tez, you?
Let's see. Well, Roy mentioned Taker and HBK. I can definitely go with even in the peripheral. I enjoyed watching Randy Savage and
Yeah.
Ricky Steamboat. I enjoyed
Yeah.
how athletic and how their matches were just examples of workhorse matches. But I give credit to one wrestler getting me back into wrestling. It's kind of out of left field, but it's D'Lo Brown.
That was out of left field.
It was that little head bob, wasn't
Looking
it?
at the rail
Good
deal
deal
now.
Big thing was because I think Game Pro magazine interviewed him when WWF Attitude was coming out. He
Oh
was
yeah.
talking about his past and his journey through the business. And at that time, he was the Euro Continental Champion.
Oh
It was
yeah.
also
Okay.
at that time where I really fell in love with the Intercontinental title because that was Steamboat's belt, that was Savage's belt, that's the workhorse belt.
Yep.
I looked at that belt with at that time with that belt with greater virtue than the world title.
You're not wrong.
So
as
I
much
even
as
wrote
you
about
think.
this on the site as well. How D'Lo Brown really got me into wrestling.
Yeah.
Mike, you mentioned Hogan was hook, line, and
I
sinker.
mean, I think I've been watching it so long, you almost kind of have to talk about it in eras. I mean,
Yeah.
as a little kid, no, I mean,
That's
There's nothing wrong
fair.
with
It
it.
pretty
It's
much
so
is.
true.
Yeah.
as a little kid, it was definitely Hogan. And of course, oddly enough, too, kind of out of left field, Tito Santana, because he
Okay.
was a good guy. And
Yeah.
he was Hispanic or Mexican, and then also like old original Sting, flat top surfer guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he
I
was the
remember you saying you always loved that.
WCW version of Hogan.
He does this, he does that.
Yeah.
To this day, you still want him to come back, Surfer Sting. I think.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, don't
Yeah.
get me wrong.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Crow was cool and served its purpose, but dude, original Sting,
Yeah.
that was something else.
Yeah.
You're talking about the whole thing too, being like Hispanic and all that. Obviously Rey Mysterio was a big one for me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
he came in,
Also
yeah.
Eddie and Eddie.
Eddie, of course.
Oh yeah, Eddie. Yep.
I knew of Jose Lothario because of my grandmother,
Right.
and then
right.
I mean, I think there's stories of me doing Hulkamania poses and stuff, but I guess the
I feel like
character
everyone's
really
done
enjoyed.
that at least once.
Yeah, you have to. It was so big.
Yeah.
Everybody has done at least 72 times.
But I
Yeah.
loved how
I
colorful
mean,
Macho
I
Man
did
was.
Macho Man.
I loved how colorful Macho Man was growing up.
Yeah.
And I just
yeah.
enjoyed how animated Roddy Piper was, man. When he went off on a
Yeah.
tangent as a kid, for whatever reason, I just was drawn to that. I thought that was so awesome.
Because as a kid, he's just as energetic as you are. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Plus the
sometimes
whole-
to get into that high pitched voice.
Yeah.
when you talk.
Plus, I've always been
That
fascinated with
definitely got
bagpipes too. I think that was a part of it, and he would come to the ring
Oh,
and we're playing
yeah.
those too sometimes. So
And on your paper here, it also says female. So,
for all time and current favorites, yeah, that's the next one. So,
So,
male and female, I guess.
I-
we can go to that all time
I have
or
a sweet-
current favorites.
I have a sweet spot for Lita. I don't know, like you. I know you
Yes.
like Lita
Oh,
too.
yes.
But I've always
lot of us
just
do.
like
Yeah.
as a female, I was not big into Trish. I just wasn't. I like her. She's a good wrestler and everything, but I just wasn't like drawn to her at first. Whenever I do, like I said, I would see it sporadically. Lita was the
Yeah.
one that I was like, oh, I like her.
Yeah.
Because she was unique.
Yes.
I mean, I think between the two, Trish was supposed to be the good-looking one, the model, and then they turned her into a wrestler, and Lita kind of came in as
She'd already
as a
wrestled.
Rios, yeah.
Yeah, she
already
wrestled in
had that
Mexico
wrestling
and
experience,
everything.
and
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was always kind of doing wrestling stuff from day
Yeah.
one, even
Yeah.
with Rios. And yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were there when she hit the moonsault after S.A. Rios hit it.
That's
too.
right,
That was
yeah.
there. So. But yeah, that's the next one. I'm really kind of looking for your all-time and current favorites. This is going to be male and female wrestlers, tag teams, your all-time pay-per-view or match type.
Ooh.
I'll kind of give you a scenario because, like, I know all-time male wrestler, Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels. It's
Okay.
probably a tie
Yeah.
between him and Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's like my heyday of wrestling. As far as female, we all know that one. 1, 2, 3.
Alexa Bliss.
Wait, all time?
All time.
All time.
On the
Gail
count of
Kim.
3, who's my all-time
All
favorite
time.
female wrestler? 1, 2, 3.
Gail Kim.
Who is
Okay.
my current favorite female wrestler? 1, 2, 3.
Who cares?
Let me just say, JC bought.
Who said Christy Hemme?
No.
Me. No kidding.
Let me just say, JC bought the ornament of Alexa Bliss's hands.
Yes, I did.
Of course he did.
Of course I did.
I hate everything about you right now.
So it's on our tree.
It's on our tree, along with a Money in the Bank briefcase.
I mean, you need to put the ornament like right here.
Yeah, I will probably for the next episode.
I'm just saying.
Oh God.
As far as like current favorite male wrestler, man, that's tough.
That's tough.
There's so many great ones out there. I would probably say it is. Oh God.
That's a good question.
It's a hard one.
Probably, man. I guess AJ Styles, honestly.
You guess.
It's between him and Daniel Bryan, and I'm actually enjoying heel Daniel Bryan. To be honest with you.
We'll see.
You know?
Well,
You know?
again, me and Tiz are kind of old school ROH nerds, so we love heel Daniel Bryan. That was one of the best eras of ROH.
Yeah, it was so good back then too. It's like I have until
such
5.
Such an a-hole. It was wonderful.
It was so great. Try grab those DVDs if you
so-
can. They're so amazing.
Yep. Favorite tag team? Oh boy.
Wait, we haven't all said our
Yeah, I was
all-time-
gonna go down the line, and then you guys can jump in. But if you guys want to jump in, go for it. Yeah.
Oh, so like all-time male right now, I was saying AJ Styles. I do also love Daniel Bryan, and I also have a thing for The Miz. I've always liked him, especially as a heel. I think he's
The Miz is a
great.
great heel.
He
He's
is.
just great. As a face, he's not that great. Sometimes he doesn't. It's not convincing, I guess, enough.
Uh-huh.
People hate him so much. But as a heel, he's awesome. Awesome, no pun intended.
Awesome.
But everyone knows here that I am a big AJ Styles mark.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, and then female, that's a little harder.
Well, you mentioned Lita. Is that your all-time favorite? Lita, all-time favorite female.
I don't know. I really like Gail Kim too, just because you always show me hers.
Well,
Well,
yeah.
Gail-
No, she was
She's
great.
got so many great matches.
Yeah.
I mean, his love for Gail Kim isn't misplaced. I mean, I
Yes.
totally get
And
it.
I
her,
guess-
her TNA run is
I
far
guess-
more
I
impressive.
Yeah,
guess,
TNA is very
I,
amazing.
yeah, if you look at her career as a whole, everyone's gonna focus like you didn't do this in WWE. You,
Doesn't
you
matter.
Threw yourself, dude. Her TNA run was
Well, there's
so
other
much.
places.
Yeah, it was a matter of when she was in WWE. Because if she had been in WWE in her prime over the past 2 years,
Yeah,
She's at the
been
top.
there. Yeah, she'd been there
Easily.
recently.
So I
then,
say
yeah,
my,
for sure.
I would
Yeah.
say my current one is obviously Becky, but it's also I also have that probably because I met her.
Yeah.
When we went to WrestleMania. Me and
Met her at
JC,
Access.
me and JC were trying to figure out: do we want to get in line for Becky? Do we want to get in line for Sasha? Do we want to get in line for
Mandy Rose.
somebody else? I forget who else. Not Mandy Rose.
I'd be down for Mandy Rose.
Well, after the Becky
and-
line was so long, we
and
got done.
AJ
We tried to run to
Styles
Mandy.
line.
It was
It was
closed.
AJ Styles.
Okay.
And AJ.
But AJ Styles' line was so
There was no
long.
way.
There was no way I was
Yeah.
gonna get
Yes.
it.
I knew that. Yeah.
So we went into Becky's early before they even she came out.
I remember following the app, and as soon as they announced where she was in line,
We got
there was
there.
just an exodus of people running that way.
I
We
believe
just saw
it.
people
Same
running.
thing
We
with
just took
Sasha.
off.
Sasha's line was like double
Sasha,
as
yeah.
long.
I believe it.
So she was the sweetest person when I met her. And she also loved my puns.
Yes, I think we just heard a podcast where she loves puns. Yeah,
She loves
That's
puns,
amazing.
and I told her she's gonna be Becktastic.
yeah,
And she loved that.
yeah.
So
That's amazing.
now having this whole heel, I love it. So she's
Yeah.
my favorite
Yeah.
right now.
Taz, what about you?
I would go with the current I can't think of anyone other than Daniel Bryan for current favorite male wrestler. All-time male wrestler is Macho Man Randy Savage.
Nice.
Nice.
Current female wrestler, I also got to go with Becky Lynch for all the reasons mentioned priorly. All-time favorite women's wrestler, it's a toss-up between. I love Jacqueline because of how tough she was.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And also of Molly Holly because of how technically great she was.
That's a
Oh,
good.
yeah.
Those are two good picks.
Actually, they're
Highly
both
underrated.
very sweet people.
Yeah, very underrated. Both of them are.
Yeah.
Mike.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think like you two, all-time male has to be Shawn Michaels. Maybe a tie with Sting too, because again, '90s Surfer Sting was he was pretty amazing.
I feel like my choice is gonna make y'all mad when I say mine. So
Oh,
go ahead.
wait, that's why you're last.
Currently,
Terrible.
I think I hold out hope that this guy will get his great single run, but Cesaro,
Yeah.
Cesaro,
Just
like
like-
God, you're right.
especially after
overdue.
WrestleMania 30,
Oh,
all the
man.
momentum in the world, and they just couldn't do something with it.
I
He's
think
not
if,
grabbing the breast.
if,
Where,
Triple,
damn
if
it.
Triple H was in charge, Cesaro would be world champion right
If,
now.
if things were a little
I
different,
agree.
perhaps.
If he was running the main roster,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so don't get me wrong. Guys like AJ, Daniel Bryan, Seth Rollins, they're all great. But I just have this
Yeah.
this spot for Cesaro. I just want to see him one more
I
time.
want to see him make it.
And then women's.
I want to see him wrestle ACH again.
Yes.
That was great.
Ooh.
Just saying.
Thank you, ACW.
And then obviously all-time women is Lita.
Nice.
And currently, I mean, yeah, definitely Becky. But I also kind of feel the same for Bailey as I do for Cesaro. Like,
I know,
man, they
yeah.
killed it in NXT.
Good
Or she
point.
killed it in NXT, and they just didn't know how to use her when they brought her up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
hurt her so much.
Yeah.
And with the Alexa storyline,
I still say this.
Yeah.
I still say this. if they market Bailey correctly, she can be the female John
Yes.
Cena.
Honestly,
Agreed.
ever since you've said that, I was
Yeah.
like, yes, you're right.
There's a missed
Kids
opportunity
love
there
her.
to make a lot of
Kids
money with
love
kids.
her.
I agree.
Yeah, there's
She
tons
could
of opportunities.
probably like make just this many Make-A-Wish found, Make-A-wish things.
Yeah, because she's
John
a hugger.
Cena.
I mean, and
That's
She
true.
could have a fruity
She's-
pebble of shirts.
Kids just love her.
She
My,
could.
Like
what's
Cena.
wrong with that?
Yes,
My-
nothing wrong with that.
my daughter loves like she has different wrestlers now that she likes, but she always goes back to Bailey. She loves
Always.
Bailey. She's 4. She loves her.
Yeah.
It's Bailey and Kyrie Sane right now. So.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right,
Oh,
Tommy.
yeah.
You said
Okay.
you're gonna piss us off. Let's see what you
Probably.
got.
I don't know if I'll piss you off, but it's gonna be a little bit different.
From
So
Japan.
for actually one of them is, but actually 2 of them. So all-time favorite males, I have a tie. It's Randy Savage is one, but what actually my tie is Randy Savage, but my ultimate will always be Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah, that's
As
good.
far as all-time greats, I remember when I got back into wrestling more and more. Before I even appreciated the technical aspect of Eddie Guerrero, I remember laughing no matter what he was doing because his face was like making you crack up. And whenever he would cheat and pretend he got like low blowed or hit with a chair,
That smile.
was like, like the smile at the camera was like, oh my god, I love this guy. And
Yes.
then I read his autobiography, and I was like, this dude has been through some crap. Freaking, he deserved 3 world titles, but and then when I have no shame in saying when he died, I cried for like a day.
Yes.
Just
Yeah.
bawled
That was-
hard tears.
That was a shock.
It was.
Yeah.
Very shock.
Yeah.
Current male is from Japan, the Rainmaker Kazuchika Okada. I don't care if he's not champion anymore. I really do not care if he ever had that belt. To me, he is just the guy to watch. And everyone's wondering right now, is like everyone here said WWE is someone related, and I went all the way across the Pacific. Anyway, I don't care.
No, that's fine. I mean,
But Okada,
it's just it's different things we watch.
yeah,
You know. So
but nothing wrong with I love AJ Styles guys. I'm a diehard AJ Styles fan.
Yeah.
But current guys, I just think Okada is one of the hottest wrestlers going right now of the males.
Yep.
Females, that's a little tougher because one of my greatest of all time is also a current because I give it to Asuka for both. Because I think she's the best right now currently. A very very close second is Becky Lynch. And of all time, Asuka is number 1 because it's like from her time in Japan, which I followed before when she was Kana. I loved all her stuff then, and I'm glad that we're getting a somewhat watered down version of her now as Asuka, but it's not so much that it's like completely horrible, which I was scared to death they were going to do. I'm hoping they don't do that with Io Shirai either, by the way.
Yeah.
But my number 2 greatest of all time for the women is Trish Stratus. Only because I was and still am in love with Trish, but because
You don't blame you. I'm just saying.
but because like you mentioned, Tina, like she was the model first, then became a wrestler. That's true, but
I didn't say that. He did.
Well, I did.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mike
But
said
it's
that.
just the way they got there.
hashtag
Somebody
and
said it.
Mike.
We'll roll back the
Hashtag
tape.
Echo.
Yeah, she transitioned to it well.
Exactly.
She did.
Like,
She
like,
did.
compared to people who
Very
say
well.
who didn't
did.
do it correctly. It's to see when Trish did it. It was like she became a legitimate superstar. Maybe not the best, but then again, arguing who's the best is an
Well,
all-day debate.
Kind
But,
of like a Cena.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
she wasn't
Yeah.
the best, but she
She-
she was like the head of it for a while.
Yeah, and
Yes,
I
it was.
I think sometimes WWE when they call someone the best or what they can do, I think that's like what is Vince letting them do? I think
Yeah.
because like when Cena is unleashed, when they just say hey go out there and just do whatever, he can do amazing stuff.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
then
yeah.
they say but Vince's booking say stick with the 5 moves of doom. Damn it!
Well, he's got 6 now.
He's got
Oh, yeah, he's
six
got
now.
six. I forgot he has 6.
So he's a little.
You got to put a little more phlegm in your throat. when you
Yeah,
say
that's
that.
right.
Okay, but
Oh, yeah, 5 moves of doom.
We'll go to tag teams now. Then
I was actually going to ask a question real quick.
Okay.
So who is y'all's favorite independent wrestler right now?
Kenny Omega.
is he?
Well, I'm just saying, like, because I'm
Is he
thinking-
Is he technically independent?
he might be in a couple of weeks. We'll see.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If he's like-
Well, okay. If we're saying a guy that's not
he's
under
not-
contract,
He's not
or
under ROH.
Cody Rhodes.
No, he's not under ROH, and he's not under New Japan, and he's not under NXT.
Okay, so
Okay.
Kenny Omega still technically is under New Japan.
Okay,
Okay, so-
I'm gonna say Cody Rhodes, even though he's because his ROH contract is about to expire.
Big
I'm gonna
dog.
say this guy right here.
ACH. Oh, ACH.
ACH.
Of
Yeah.
course, ACH.
Who also may be under contract soon.
Yes.
but he's not
If
doing
the
it.
rumors
Yeah.
coming. We hope
Oh,
so,
boy.
man.
Of the ones who are currently not signed to any of the 3 you mentioned, Pentagon and Ray Phoenix are my 2.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I've met both of them. They're great guys, and damn it, they can make some magic. Oh, and Shane Strickland. Because
Oh, yeah.
Shane Strickland's
Mine was just from watching Mae Young. I used to watch her and actually valeted for her once. Mercedes
Mercedes Martinez. That's
great.
right.
Oh yeah, I forgot
She's
you
got
did
her- she
that.
did
That's
that
right.
once,
That was
yes.
awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, I was allowed. That was great for
Yeah.
her and Alyssa Fash or cheerleader Melissa.
Mercedes Martinez always
They were all
falls
excited, too.
who scares the crap out of me but turns me on at the exact same time.
Mike?
There's too many women that do that to you, man.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh well.
yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly who's under contract or what, but basically from a non-WWE area, I'm really impressed with what Cody Rhodes has done since
Yes.
he left WWE, reinvented himself, joined
Still
Bullet
is.
Club.
Left
and
Bullet
just,
Club.
Yeah, left
Yeah.
the whole thing he's kind of
Tama Tonga
done with
won.
himself. Really trying to make his own
I
brand.
know the
and,
elite's better.
Yeah.
than-
I've really
Yeah.
I haven't watched all of the New Japan stuff every show, but I followed them on Twitter. I watched their Being the Elite show.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's just been a blast. Like what he's done. And,
Cody's reinvention of himself, I think, was one of the greatest things. I think he kind of screwed Vince really bad because it's like, oh my god, he made all this money by himself.
It's showing.
Damn it.
It's showing the wrestling world you don't need to be under WWE to be famous, to reinvent yours, to
Exactly.
be
Yeah.
good.
I
Yeah.
think now more than ever.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, they proved that with All
Yeah.
In.
They did it with all in.
They did prove that.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're gonna
they're
talk
not
about that
getting
later
all
too.
okay.
We got more.
Yeah.
Tez, your favorite non-contracted independent wrestler?
Yeah, again, it's tough with contracts because that's a little nebulous. So I'll just try to focus on non-WWE.
Okay.
I can't go wrong with Cody Rhodes.
Yep.
I'm gonna go a little bit into left field again. I'm eager to see big things from the reigning, defending, undisputed NWA National Heavyweight Champion Willie Mack.
Willie
Willie
Mack.
Mack, that's
Willie
true.
Mack's
Yeah,
really
just-
good.
Yes.
Yeah,
All right.
I support that choice. Yeah.
Now, all-time and current favorite tag teams. I'll start. My all-time Legion of Doom,
That's a good
hands
choice.
down.
Yeah,
They're
that's a really good
iconic.
choice.
I always remember their seeing their stuff. Current favorite tag teams, and I'm sorry, but none of the ones in WWE are doing it for me right now. It's the Young Bucks.
Oh yeah,
They
Yeah,
are
there's nothing wrong with that choice.
Much fun to watch.
There's
and
nothing
I
wrong with
just
that
love
choice
it.
at all.
They,
Yeah.
honestly, seeing improvement. We saw them live at Ring of Honor show, God, a few years ago when they
Yeah.
did a pay-per-view here.
All
And-
Star Extravaganza, I think it was.
Yeah. So, and seeing their stuff, just how they themselves have gone from nothing to probably one of the biggest acts like ever.
Yeah.
Selling their own merch at Hot Topic too, on top of things. So
Yeah.
they're just an amazing tag team. to me,
Did you ever
so.
hear the story about how that happened?
the Hot Topic deal?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I heard it on
Yeah.
the podcast.
Yeah,
It's pretty cool.
It's
yeah.
pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
So mine is kind of funny
Oh, boy.
because my current tag team favorite right now is New Day.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. I mean,
And
yeah.
they dressed up as my favorite tag teams.
The Brood.
That was great.
In your defense, though,
and
that was
and
brilliant.
a lot of people don't know this, but I'm a fan of Christian. Like I love.
I knew that. I didn't
He
know
was
you
the
loved
mo-
the Brood though.
Yeah, it was
that was
pretty
surprising
funny.
to me.
And
Wow,
he
I
was,
learn something new every day.
Yeah, I know. But
Keeps
it's
the marriage
it's-
amazing.
We've met Christian.
Yeah, well,
And one of our
you
friends
all
scared
did.
him.
I
We
did
did at Victory Road in Houston. Great
And
to
then
meet
Jesse
you.
And one of our
scared him
friends scared
apparently?
him.
It just scared the crap out of him.
Yeah, I've met
Yeah.
Christian. Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
But I've always had a thing for Christian. I don't know. I thought he was the most
Yeah.
underappreciated
I agree with
wrestler.
that.
Yeah.
I agree.
He was a great wrestler. His theme music was actually played by one of my favorite bands, The Story of the Year, at the end, like the very before he
Oh
left.
yeah,
Yeah.
I totally forgot that they did it.
So
Yeah.
I'm fans of theirs too. So I was like, oh my god, my favorite
Yeah.
wrestler and my favorite band. So
I
Yeah.
like
That's
his
awesome.
reinvention in TNA.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah,
Christian
yeah.
Yeah,
That was a
Cage.
great
yeah, Christian
run, too.
Cage. Yeah,
I
it was
mean,
good.
when
It
he
was good.
left and showed up there, and just the pop there, it was just a
Yeah.
different guy.
his
That
his
was nice.
promos were amazing. In
And
I
TNA.
think
think that
Oh my god.
really turned him into a main eventer. When
Yeah.
he was in.
Yeah.
and of
Well,
course, not
Everywhere
to,
but WWE.
not to
apparently,
discredit
so.
Edge either. I loved Edge
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll just
Tez,
say
what
it.
about you? Tag teams.
Tag teams currently. You guys heard me say this before. I never want to live in a world where the new day is not over.
That's
I
an
never
entirely fair
wanna know-
statement.
I never want to know what that's
Just
like
so entertaining.
Yes.
ever again. They were just a pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
They were.
I'm happy with everything that they've accomplished, both in and outside of in and outside the ring. Yeah, they're my favorite current, favorite all time, hands down. The 10-time WCW World Tag Team Champions, Harlem Heat.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
sure.
Nice.
They were one of the more iconic WCW tag teams.
Yeah.
I
Definitely,
believe.
definitely
Yes.
up
Yeah.
Yes.
Tommy.
Okay, so currently, I'll say Young Bucks for sure, one of them, but I gotta give a lot of credit to the Usos,
Okay.
because when they were, let's be honest, they were floundering for like a while now. People were saying, oh, boo them and everything. So they just like said, nah, screw it, let's just go hood with this, and they did, and it worked brilliantly. I was like, whoa, and then the like when they debuted that new look, I was just like, okay, I'm in. And then when they had that whole attitude, and then their feud, and to me, their feud with the New Day is an extremely underrated series of matches that I think do not get enough credit for what they did.
When they had the rap battle?
Yeah.
Yes.
Dude, man, oh my God, that rap battle was like one of my favorite battles.
If you check WWE archives, part of that rap battle
Is that it? Yeah.
Like
You
your
gotta,
boy Xavier Woods.
let's not get all rated all like your boy Xavier Woods.
Yeah.
Even Wale had
Yowza.
to leave. He's like, okay, that's it. I'm done.
Yeah.
Favorite tag teams of all time is a even split. One is the Dudley Boys.
Okay.
Just I mean, that I could. Wow, it's the Dudley Boys. What more do I need to say?
Probably the most decorated one. Yeah.
For sure. My other team is also out of out of left field. It was the American Wolves, David Richards and Eddie Edwards.
Oh, yeah.
When I felt like I was the only American Wolves mark in the world, because it was like, to me, I don't know, it was like, I guess it was just like their hard hitting style and the fact that they were just like they had a gimmick, but not really. They were just two guys who would just go out there.
And they still carried it over to Impact.
Yeah.
It's just one injury kind of derailed it, but they still had something great going.
And easily both those guys are world champion material. And the fact that they both won the world title in ROH, Eddie Edwards, of course, went on to win the TNA world title.
Yep.
But and one of my favorite matches that they had was with each other. It was Davey and Eddie for the ROH world title, Best in the World 2011. I love that match. I've probably seen it over a dozen times, and it's just like every hit, which is like, it was like they showed less mercy on each other than they did on their opponents, because it's like, oh, I know you can take it, so they would just kick the crap out of each other. So those are my tag teams.
Something popped in my head. I was like, oh my God, I forgot about Red Dragon.
Red Dragon was
That was
great.
my
Yeah.
favorite.
Red Dragon was so good.
And now, the
Undisputed Era.
Undisputed Era.
Undisputed Era.
Yeah, I love them.
Motor City Machine Guns.
Yes.
Oh, dude, another great tag team.
Oh, yeah.
That's another one.
But they just kind of went away.
Yeah, sadly.
But definitely for that little run.
I think Alex Shelley retired. I think.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, I think Alex Shelley retired. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mike?
All right, so all time, as much as we've talked mostly about WWE because they're the only big ones left in America, I was a big WCW fan before they got big with Hogan and NWO in the early 90s. And so pre-Big Papa Pump, the Steiners were
that's a good choice.
amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
And doing things, I mean, Scott Steiner was the first person I ever saw do the Frankensteiner.
Yeah.
And he didn't just roll them around. He dropped them on their head like a power. Like, it was ridiculous.
Pre-concussion warrior. So
without a doubt.
The good old days.
And so
people try to kill each other.
yeah, that mid-90s Steiners, because, I mean, you said Legion of Doom, and they're definitely up there, but to me, the Steiners at the time were one of the few teams that could take it to them at the same level of brutality and stuff.
For sure.
So, and honestly, I got so disappointed when he became Big Papa Pump. And I know he had a huge run and he had his whole thing with that, but Mullet Steiner was, God, he was that guy who was doing stuff before his time.
Raise your hand if you thought the chainmail helmet was stupid.
Tez, raise your hand.
If you hear me.
The thing is, like I told you, I sporadically watched it, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Big bad booty daddy. But if you ask Cesaro about a Big Papa Pump,
Oh my gosh.
Scott Steiner promo, look that up on WWE Network.
Oh,
he
God.
will bust out laughing. So if you ever meet Cesaro out there,
He can quote the whole thing.
he can quote every Big Papa Pump.
I
Yes.
am
was it
the
the
man
math one
that
too?
you are.
Any of them.
Is
He
it
just thinks it's the most
I have
hilarious
half the brain
thing.
that you are, or is it half the man that you
Yeah,
are?
no, that's a
Oh,
Sid.
that's a Sid.
That's a
Sid
Sid.
He
Vicious
said that
one.
too.
Yeah, he
didn't
did that. Yeah,
Yeah,
they did that
you're
one
right.
too.
Okay.
I'm half the brand that
You are.
Yeah, something like
But he
that.
said the other one
Yeah.
too.
Now,
Sid Vicious.
Yes.
Yeah.
Current tag team, Mike.
Oh, boy.
Current tag team. I don't know if I just have one because I mean the same thing in WWE, Usos and New Day. I mean they just took things to another level.
Yeah, for
we
sure.
saw that at Survivor Series. I mean, there weren't any other teams that you felt legitimate compared to them. I mean, also the Bar as well. I throw in there, of course, because I love Cesaro. But they weren't in that Survivor Series match. They were in the title match.
Yeah.
And then of course the Young Bucks. I mean, just what they've done as well.
Yeah.
So much fun.
You know, kind of just saying what you all said, but they're just amazing. And
Yep.
Facts are facts.
yeah.
Now, the next one, I'll kind of explain this one. So I'm saying pay-per-view and or match type, and this kind of explains our WrestleCast rating system here. So let me give you an idea why this came about. So some people have asked me about this. So when we do on the Geekcast, when we do like movie reviews, we say we give our rating 0 to 5, 0 being like worst movie ever, 5 being like greatest movie of all time. And I thought I'd kind of use that here, but I kind of wanted to have fun with it. So
Here comes Tommy's face.
yes, here we go. So as you recall, I will say 5 being WrestleMania 17, 0 being December to Dismember. So why do I say that? So first of all, WrestleMania 17, which was in the Astrodome, the iconic Astrodome, to me, and I think to a lot of people, is widely regarded as the greatest WrestleMania of all time, and probably the greatest pay-per-view of all time.
I hate that I keep laughing at that.
Yeah,
Damn
there's wasn't a
So
bad
mad.
match on that card, and in my mind, and in a lot of people's minds, that's the greatest pay-per-view of all time. So that's why I have that as a 5. On the reverse side, December to Dismember. I'm talking, of course, about the WWE ECW December to Dismember.
Not the one time I think ECW did it in like the 90s, which was actually good.
Yeah, with the hardcore elimination chamber with weapons. It was a disaster.
Did the overall pay-per-view even go like past 2 hours?
I don't even remember. I
think
saw
I
it
remember
once,
it
and I
was
want to
super
forget that I
short.
saw it. It was short.
Oh,
They didn't sell it
I
out.
remember.
Yeah, I think it was like one of the worst drawn crowds.
I think Tez blocked it out until
Yes.
we brought it up just now.
If you got time to kill, go watch it on
I hate
WWE
you
Network. Yeah.
Hey, he brought it up. I was happy not thinking
So
about
that's why it's regarded as the worst. That's why I have it as a 0. I think Bruce Pritchard on his podcast on WWE Network, they have an episode devoted to WWE's ECW, and they talk extensively about how bad that pay-per-view was, just from how it didn't draw. I don't even know how it got any buys, you know. If it did, Ted, sounds like you were one of them. You're so disappointed.
It was thank God I didn't pay for it.
Yeah.
It was somebody,
So
somebody else. But if you want another funny take on that, on Old School Wrestling Review covered December to Dismember, and it is a hilarious watch to help you laugh while you watch the terror in front of you.
So
laugh to keep from crying.
yes. So my favorite
Exactly.
my
You
favorite
get
pay per view
it.
of all time is WrestleMania 17. And I guess pay per view overall, or I guess match type. My favorite match type, in general, I love the Royal Rumble.
Is a very nail biting show.
It is. It's
match,
just
yeah.
the surprises, the drama of it. For the record, my favorite Royal Rumble match of all time is Royal Rumble 07 that we were at. Just for the last 15 minutes of it was just Shawn Michaels and Undertaker. And that was legendary.
That was probably one of the tensest live events I've ever been
Yes,
to because
because
the whole crowd couldn't breathe the last 5 seconds.
It's
of that
like
match.
we wanted Shawn to win. It's in San Antonio.
Yeah.
But then when Undertaker won, we were like,
know it's not
but
gonna
he's going to go to WrestleMania and probably win. So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah,
It
we're
is
good with
still
that.
real to me, and that still hurts.
Yeah.
God dang it.
But man, that Rumble set up
that Rumble was
the classic WrestleMania matches we got between them.
yeah.
Excuse me. So Royal Rumble to me is probably like my favorite match
Yeah.
of all time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah.
I would probably
Match
agree
type.
with you. Match type would my favorite's Royal Rumble, but I'm slowly starting to love War Games.
Yes.
Yeah. War Games
Yes.
is a solid.
JC, you need to. I'm sure they have them somewhere on the network in old NWA, WCW. You need to find some of those old war games.
I've
Can you
seen a
show-
few.
I-
Yeah, I
I-
probably need to go back and
I-
watch them.
I have the
You gotta show me
DVD
those.
collection.
I have spare time.
Yeah, it's
You need to
great.
I
show
don't know if we
those.
have spare time.
Well, let's get the kids to bed early, like at 5. We'll
Yeah,
just sit there
good
and
luck
watch
with
War
that.
Games.
Some NyQuil juice.
Yes.
No.
I was just kidding.
What's your favorite pay-per-view of all time? No.
That's tough because, like I told you, I didn't watch a lot growing
Just
up.
what you
And I
watched.
didn't watch pay-per-views at all growing up because we didn't buy them.
Well,
and
it doesn't have to be a specific one, but I guess of all the ones that they have, which one would be your favorite? Can be any company, by the way. It doesn't have to
Okay.
be WWE.
I'm going to just say WrestleMania 30 is the one that we went to.
32.
32.
32, yes.
32, the one that we went to just because, I'd never been to one. I've obviously
It
saw
was
them.
once in a lifetime.
And
Yeah.
it was a great experience being part of the biggest crowd in WrestleMania history.
Yeah.
And it was amazing to me to see so many people in that stadium especially when Bray Wyatt came out and you see
all the
All the
fireflies.
fireflies. That was
Yes.
really
It
cool.
was amazing to see everybody with their phones, and it was just like, whoa,
Yes.
this is the coolest thing ever. I am not the only wrestling nerd around.
Anybody else love New Day's cereal box?
That
Yes.
was great.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Also, the last time Zack Ryder had a moment.
Yes, yes,
We
exactly.
were so happy for
Yeah.
Got his
that.
music played at Mania.
Yeah. Oh,
Lost it
man.
the next day.
Another person that's very underappreciated.
Yeah.
All right, Tez, your favorite pay-per-view and match type of all time?
Oh boy, favorite pay-per-view. I love as much as I love WrestleMania 17, and it does deserve the props it gets. For me, I keep going back and forth between 17 and 19 in Seattle.
Oh yeah,
19 was
Seattle
good.
was
19
Safeco Field. Yeah,
Yeah, 19 was a good show.
Yeah, I mean, just ignoring Taker's match from that year. You had a Hogan and Vince in a pretty entertaining match.
Yeah.
You had Austin and Rock for the third and final time.
which happened to be Austin's last match too. And
Yeah.
I think he told a story about that too. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yep, and Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar.
And Shawn and Jericho, right?
Yeah, Shawn and Jericho were that night.
Yep, Shawn and Jericho that night,
Which
and
stole the show, I think.
despite the ending,
Of course
Booker T and the Triple H.
No.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, and that whole bill just blick.
That was
But-
that was,
I
I
love
think that
how
was
it's his
but-
favorite.
but-
We're all groaning about it.
I think the fact that was like Triple H's biggest ego trip that even
How
he has
long
to
did
realize.
Booker
that.
T stay down for like 40
the,
minutes.
like-
the,
feels like-
reign of terror. The reign of terror.
Dude, he was
Yes.
down there the entire time it takes Undertaker to get to the ring, and he still got pinned, dude.
Yeah.
Make no damn sense.
Exactly.
Favorite match type, Tez?
I'll say for the longest time, my favorite match type, even though it's kind of waned in the last few years, has been the classic Survivor Series match.
Okay.
And that's
yeah.
mostly from me liking to see people who normally have not teamed up with each other try to team up
Yeah.
for a common cause to
Yeah.
defeat these other people who they have issues with.
Yeah.
And I kind of like sort of the controlled chaos of maybe one or a couple refs trying to keep everything in order. And I do, despite how not like I guess classically quote unquote good technically these matches are, they can be pretty entertaining. I'll even say that the winner take all match from the 2001 Survivor Series, I enjoyed watching.
Oh yeah, that was a pretty good one.
Watching Big Show's, then in '99 watching Big Show squash Bossman's team in the moment.
Yeah.
And even though Randy, for a while Randy Orton was the king of the Survivor Series. I think he went 3 straight being the sole survivor.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I wish that I do like the dynamic with Raw versus SmackDown now because it makes more sense with this than with the bragging rights. Anyone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone?
Yeah.
Bragging rights? Anyone?
Not
No?
really.
Okay.
No,
Only
I'm
you.
good.
no. Oh yeah.
Excuse me.
No comment.
Tommy, Mike wants to.
I can go.
Go ahead.
Okay. Favorite match type, I can start with easier. It's for me, it's Hell in a Cell. I mean, I think it's kind of run to the ground in recent years, but like before, it was like the ultimate like final match for people. Like, of course, one of my favorites is still Undertaker and Mankind, King of the Ring '98, because that was what really got me really back into wrestling because I couldn't believe someone would willingly put his body through that just to. I mean, but God bless Mick Foley. So. And also not just that match. Another one of my favorites is actually Batista versus Triple H and Batista versus Undertaker, both in Hell in a Cells. I thought were like really good, brutal matches. And Undertaker versus Edge at SummerSlam 2008 was one of my all-time favorites too. That ending was crazy too. Pay-per-views, I'm gonna go to Japan again.
All right.
Wrestle Kingdom 10. To me was my favorite. It had a lot of great matches. I'm looking at the results right now on my phone. It had like one of my favorite like hard hitting matches, not like hardcore, just like hard hitting matches. It was Shibata and Ishii for the Never Openweight Championship. If you ever want to watch a match that you feel like you are physically in pain by the time the match is over, that's the match to watch because it feels like every time that they hit each other, your body should have a bruise on it, and you're nowhere near this match. It is also my favorite because it was the quote unquote final match between Okada and Tanahashi, which we all knew was BS. They were going to wrestle again anyway.
Of course, never the final match.
Yeah, not only that, but they can't get in the ring without having at least a 4.5-star classic, and that's when they're not trying. They have to not try to not have a 4-star match. I mean, they have to literally go there sick, sleepy, and missing a leg to not at least get a 4-star match out of each other.
Yeah,
and even then, that match was great because it was Okada finally beating Tanahashi and finally getting that demon off his back, and just the whole show felt like something special. It was their 10-year anniversary. New Japan was struggling for years. They had finally gotten back to form with guys like Tanahashi and Okada, and that show was just like a celebration of the wild success they've been having. And of course, they had it on New Japan World, which is still going strong now. So
yep.
Sorry.
I think my favorite match type would be the Money in the Bank matches,
Yeah,
especially some of
much fun.
those first couple that they had.
Yeah.
Those were fun. They were inventive. You had the ladder match when it first came out in WWE, and then you kind of went to the TLC, and so doing the 6 or 8 man, depending on how many people were in the match. I really enjoyed those, and I know when they made it its own pay-per-view and took it off WrestleMania. I kind of sometimes I wish it would be back on WrestleMania, but those matches are usually pretty exciting. And I know you got to do it sometimes. They get the big guys in there, and it kind of takes away sometimes.
The beauty of it now is it's become like the Big 5 pay-per-view.
Yeah.
It's become for the Big 4, Big 5.
I look at it as it's kind of the best successor for King of the Ring.
True that.
For sure.
It's big too when they attach a takeover show to it as well. So,
that's a good
True.
point.
Yeah. So.
And then favorite pay-per-view. I don't know if it's like the best pay-per-view, but I have a real fond memory because I think we had recorded this or I got it on tape somehow, and it was SummerSlam 1990, which is kind of random, but it was Hogan and Earthquake, Ultimate Warrior, and Rick Rude.
Okay. Well,
Cage.
Warrior and Rick Rude would sell me immediately. So
But my favorite match from that.
Well, Rude was one of the few guys who could have a good match with Warrior. I remember people would say that he was one of the few guys that had the
You could probably
patience.
keep him from going crazy.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite matches was a 2 out of 3 falls tag match between Hart Foundation and Demolition. And this was
Classic.
around the
I've heard
time
about that.
Demolition added Crush
Okay.
because they were getting older. And so this is also when Legion of Doom shows up because they try to do somehow you can't tell the difference between 6'6" Crush and 6'3" Smash. They just look the same because they got paint on. But they try to pull a switch, and Legion of Doom comes down and pulls them out. And
The earliest
the Hart
form of Twin
Foundation-
Magic.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I don't know how smart you have to be a WWE referee sometimes. Or WWF.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah,
Not so much.
I used to watch that all the
I had a
time.
series of jokes there, but I'll save it for another time.
Why was Hebner fired again?
Good point.
Which one?
Yeah.
Real quickly though, before we go on our next questions, because we get off on a tangent here. Real quickly, I just want everyone to say what the best era of wrestling is for them.
Real quick.
Yes.
I say now. Honestly.
Now, okay, the reality era, as they call it. Tez, what about you?
It's now. Just, I mean, you look back at Attitude Era stuff, and it's like, how do we get away with this? Sometimes that match isn't really that good. They rely too heavily on this and that and everything outside of putting the wrestling match together.
Yeah.
And also, the women are treated much better now
That's so true.
than they were back then.
I'll agree with that.
As a
I would,
female, I
I
say
would
now.
like to
Okay.
think it's
Just because
kind
of
of it's because it's better for them too. And I say this while I'm interrupting Tina. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I kind of
You
enjoy
said now also, yeah.
I kind of enjoy what you do, but yeah, you make a good point. That's pretty much what I like now, just because when I did watch back, every so often, women were not the greatest. Even when we started dating and even were first married, everybody would come over to our house for pay-per-views, and the female matches would start, and everybody's like, bathroom break.
Bathroom break,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now everybody wants to see the female matches.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest match that we wanted to see was Becky and Ronda, and we didn't get to see it.
And ironically, Brock Lesnar's off the bathroom break
Yeah,
match.
it's very true. Funny how that works out.
That's how it
Deservingly
works.
so.
Or the cruiserweights for guys. But,
Poor guys, yeah.
Mike, what about you?
I mean, again, I kind of have a nostalgia for mid-90s WCW.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with
I
that.
know
That's
it was
fine.
never on the same level as WWE till they got to the Monday Night Wars, but there was some really good stuff going on.
Yeah,
Some
there was a lot
underrated,
of
underappreciated stuff.
Like
Yeah.
Austin was there, stunning. He was stunning Steve Austin. Pillman was there. Arn
Hollywood
Anderson,
Blondes.
the Horseman the whole time.
Yeah.
Ricky Steamboat, Dustin Rhodes as a young kid. So I just kind of have a nostalgia for that era. Surfer Sting. Here we go again.
Yeah.
But,
Man called Sting.
heck yes.
He does this and that, I hear.
For me, some people call it the Attitude Era. I actually call it the Monday Night Wars era. Attitude was only in WWF at the time, but it was WCW. That is the era that took wrestling super mainstream.
Yeah, I agree.
It was reported on. The ratings were insane. People that didn't even follow wrestling with us at high school were talking about it. I remember going to like a baseball game road trip, riding on the bus. And there's one guy on my team who was like a big country guy. And he's, dude, I watched wrestling. That monster truck Steve Austin had last night was amazing. And he just loved that big truck that he had. Yeah. So
that was really cool.
That era for me, just for the Monday Night Wars, and that was where ECW also came up.
Yeah.
And they started jumping in on it
If
too.
only
So
they could have stuck around.
yeah, well,
Oh well.
they still chant it in arenas to this day. So we did get a few questions. We solicited for some questions on Facebook and Twitter. We got a few, and ironically, we got them from Geekcasters, who were also wrestling fans. First one is Rob, who eventually will get on this show. I believe it.
Either through here or through
The phone or something. Yeah, we'll see. He asked, if Stone Cold Steve Austin was still active, who from the current roster would you like to see have a storyline with, and why?
Becky.
The man.
Yo, actually, that blows away any answer I had. Yes, what she just said.
I don't have a better answer than that.
I just want them to be, like her mentor, kind of thing. Yeah. That would be the greatest thing ever. That's my only.
Becky, you broke that girl in half.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you. Give me a hug.
Exactly. Like I feel like she is going towards that. I've told you all this before. She's Becky, the Stone Cold Lynch.
Yeah.
I feel like that she is channeling that, and her in a storyline with Stone Cold would make it even more like.
Yeah. My answer, even though he may not be fully active, and you are going to be looking at me weird when I say this, is John Cena.
No, I agree with that.
Because that is Cena's. Yeah, I know.
That's
Cena's. For one, that's Cena's dream match. He made a point of that on Tough Enough. And two is just you have two guys. At one point, Steve Austin criticized that he wasn't a good wrestler until he showed up Kurt Angle. So if you put these guys together, first off, their promos would be actually absolutely amazing.
Their promos would be fantastic.
Yes.
Clean cut Cena and drinking beer Stone Cold, and then the match. I think they could be probably one of the more technical matches people would see coming.
Yeah.
Now I have a 1A on this, even though he's not technically active in wrestling, only because this is the feud I would have always loved to see.
I know what it is.
Was Stone Cold Steve Austin and CM Punk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Straight edge versus beer drinking guy.
Punk wanted that for years.
Punk has always wanted that for years.
And I was always like, give it to us.
Yeah, no. So yeah, exactly. So that would be my guy.
The only other one I can think of is Dean Ambrose.
Yeah,
that's only or Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I take that back. One more person does come to mind, and that would be AJ Styles.
AJ, yeah. I mean, AJ can feud with anybody.
Well, that's true. And those are my three, and I think the reasons kind of explain themselves.
Yep.
So,
thinking more storyline. What about the Miz?
Ooh,
yes.
Not necessarily the match itself, but just the storyline of
the promos.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that now just for the promos.
Yeah,
exactly.
Pretty good.
Tez?
While I said I cannot think of a better answer than
Becky. So you're sticking with Becky? Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, honestly, that was the best answer. I was just spitballing just so I could have something to say.
I just literally was looking at that question right now when y'all were talking, and I was like, Becky, duh.
Watch the rest of these questions. Becky Lynch is going to be the answer to the rest of them.
When she said Becky, I said.
I will say an interaction that Stone Cold had that I would have loved to see more of was his interaction with the New Day.
Oh my God!
WrestleMania.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like,
Bootios and Steve Weisers.
I can see this for a few weeks at a time for a couple months.
They just have a segment where they just have cut promos on each other and just have Stone Cold come out and do that. Well, they want to make Raw better. That's how you do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And eventually he gets better and wins the big dance off, and everyone's with a beer with Steve Weiser.
It'd be the best.
Put me on the writing team, please.
All right,
please.
There you go.
Now Jericho, another Geekcaster, and who's also been on this hashtag not Mike on this WrestleCast.
Hashtag
he wanted to call it too. We couldn't. he had a few questions. The first one is, if the Hardcore Championship came back, who currently could hold a light to that title?
Dean?
I'd say Dean.
Dean, probably.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you kind of have to ask: is it the serious version of it,
Or the 24/7?
It changes
Okay.
34 times in a 30-minute episode?
7 times in one house show?
Yeah,
I
I
would
mean,
say-
If
I would
we're going
think-
serious
I think the
hardcore.
serious
Switch to
one.
DDT heavy metalweight belt. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely Ambrose if you're going to be serious.
If you're gonna be serious, then Dean Ambrose for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're going to go 24/7 role, Heath Slater.
God, yes. Please. Oh, now. Oh, I have never wanted.
Hey,
I
to
got
hardcore-
kids. I need
You
this
got
title.
the title, you
No,
get the
no,
money,
I
he's
know
got
who.
kids.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
No,
just
I know
saying.
who. Kurt Hawkins.
Oh my God. He'd have to win it
yeah.
first.
Yeah.
Imagine that being the way he breaks his streak.
I'm
He'd
so
be-
happy
Oh,
right
my
now.
God.
Breaks the streak.
But he could
breaks
probably-
the streak by winning the Hardcore Championship.
But then
yes.
it gets rolled up by Heath Slater literally 2 seconds
No.
later.
Yes.
Aw.
And he's like,
Man.
Oh.
And then Corey Graves gets a title shot.
dang.
I think, well, Dina seemed to be the collective one. Who else? Anybody else?
Serious
Eric
one?
Young. I know he doesn't wrestle much from Sanity, but
No,
You know, that's a good fit. I like that.
because
Yeah.
I think Sanity would protect him.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
that's true.
So
Oh, good point.
That would make sense.
yeah.
Nikki Cross.
Nikki,
Yeah, Nikki Cross.
Yes.
And she wouldn't need anybody to protect
she
him.
would roll up Eric Young.
Yes, she would.
They should bring back the hardcore title, have Nikki Cross win it, and have Becky Lynch feud with her over it.
Holy
Because
yes.
those series of matches would be.
That's a feud I want to see.
Let's
Okay.
play.
That's
Let's
why I want
play.
Nikki to come to the main roster and go to SmackDown so she can feud with Becky because
Yes.
those are the matches we deserve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got that tease of it a couple
I want
weeks
to see
ago.
that.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Now, Jericho had some really good questions here. The next one: what is the most ridiculous storyline to date?
Oh gosh.
The most ridiculous storyline to date.
Oh my gosh.
Katie Vick or God
I was
Tag Team
literally
Partner?
about to go
Katie
there.
Vick.
It's hands down that one.
Or
Yes,
Vince and God.
hands down. I think
James
that
Ellsworth.
was so ridiculous.
In
wasn't it?
hindsight now, but
In modern
Look,
day,
it
maybe.
is
funny
until
ridiculous.
proven guilty. That's all
Yeah,
I'm
In
gonna say.
modern day,
It's
maybe,
a different
but
get
that was the downside to the Attitude Era. They had some of the most ridiculous.
Yes, that's true.
Any-
Giving birth to a hand.
yeah, that was
Anything
yeah.
that went with.
Oh, yeah.
Any kind of match that they made for because of Total Divas.
Yeah.
Anything Eva Marie? What?
Like the
Yeah,
team
the-
Total Divas versus team not Total Divas,
That was-
and
that was
then
really
AJ
stupid.
Lee brought in the pipe bombshell afterward. Was we get that moment.
yeah, something did come with that, but
Yeah.
yeah, ridiculous storylines. Yeah,
I didn't understand that. I was like, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
okay. I don't know if this is storyline esque or specific, but it's like I think Brock Lesnar's whole Universal title run was just,
Oh, yeah?
was
Yeah,
big.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
It made no sense. Okay, here's always been my idea of the point of a world title, especially. It's like it's to make the guy a superstar. Brock Lesnar's a superstar. It's like he doesn't even have to have a title match. He's the pay-per-view attraction. Why
Yeah.
does he have that? So,
The whole point to Brock as champion should have been to build up the guy to beat him,
yeah.
and then they ruined that so badly anyway.
They ruined it like 8 times.
Well,
they had Joe, they had
they-
Braun, and
supposed to be
should they have pulled the
Roman,
trigger
but-
on Roman earlier? Yes.
Yes,
When they
absolutely.
finally did it mean
Yeah.
something? Yes. Unfortunately,
Yeah,
How
at
Roman.
Mania would make sense. He would have the belt. He would have had the belt.
Even
much
then,
longer.
greatest Royal Rumble when they screwed up the finish anyway.
that was so.
yeah.
Don't even
You
get me
know.
started.
Oh yeah, even
That was
further
so
than that. Yeah.
Because if they were worried about him getting booed at Mania, he would have gotten cheered in Saudi Arabia. So, you know, you
Oh,
could have done
yeah.
it then. It's just, and they finally did it. The crowd was kind of behind it, and then, you know, it happens. Leukemia happens, and
Yeah, which sucks.
first of all, it's good to see him on the sidelines for Georgia Tech, his alma mater football
was
game
cool.
too. So,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Tez, do you have another ridiculous storyline, or we kind of agreeing with everybody else's here?
I'm going to go back to just a ridiculous element that was added to what could have been a good build up. I'm going back to that World Championship match build up to WrestleMania 19 between Triple H and
Oh yeah.
Steve.
Yeah.
You sure that's your
yeah,
favorite
the,
WrestleMania? The way you're talking down about a couple matches.
I'm like,
Yeah.
just that one
Yeah.
match. Just
Yeah.
that one match.
Well,
I look at a lot of the matches, and a lot of times the Shawn Michaels Chris Jericho match really amps it up. But
Yes,
really
yes.
just the build up heading there with some of the sort of the people like you don't become world champions, and Triple H tipping Booker T in the bathroom is like, okay, come on, man, you're going real on the nose with this
Yeah.
borderline borderline racist stuff.
Yeah, and then have them lose anyway, which is
exactly. Like, this is like this is a white nationalist dream right here.
Yeah.
This is why Triple H has so many minorities winning NXT.
There's definitely a match you
so
cannot
bad.
have this day and age.
Yeah, just because you can't do that.
Yeah,
nowadays.
exactly.
Now Jericho had
Like,
a
you
very
don't have to go there.
Jericho's final question was a tough one. What could make you stop watching wrestling?
Death.
Death. Oh.
That's really about
I
it.
think
I'm
for
still
that'll
watching
do
the
it.
Afterlife, man.
I feel like the only thing that might deter me from it is if they went back to hiring only models and
Not taking the women seriously.
Well, even
not
then,
taking the women seriously, making them
Yeah.
a bathroom break again.
well, even then, that would just make me just stop watching WWE. Like,
Yeah, exactly. It's
like,
true.
It's like to stop watching wrestling altogether would take like some kind of divine intervention. Like God Himself would have to say, Thomas, you have to stop watching wrestling. And I'd be like, God, do you mean like today, tomorrow? What's the time frame here?
And specifically, what kind of wrestling?
And what are the consequences if I keep watching? Now, if you're talking about stop watching WWE, done. But if you're telling me to give my ROH DVDs, we got to talk.
I think.
Let's be honest, nothing.
I think for me, if you want to get, I'll probably never stop watching wrestling. But if you want to get me to stop watching a promotion, and I'll so TNA like this, you bring in some people that are. You get away from the formula that was working.
Yeah.
TNA is a prime
TNA
example.
Yeah.
You brought in so much young talent.
amazingly.
You were unique with the 6-sided ring.
You change
Then you
that.
brought in Hogan, and he didn't know where to run, so you switched it to a 4-sided ring, and then you run
And
the.
then suddenly we didn't do Ultimate X hardly at all, which drove me crazy. I
Yes.
love the Ultimate X match. That should
now-
be my match type.
Is it getting better
now?
now? Yeah, I agree. It is getting better
Yeah, it's getting a
now.
lot better now.
It's now they need to look for a TV deal. We'll talk about that, but
Yeah.
that kind of thing where you get away from what's working, that's the kind of stuff that bothers me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the stuff that would really annoy me. Like if Ring of Honor started bringing in, I don't know, Gangrel or
Well,
nothing against Gangrel.
well, they're bringing.
If they brought in like Hogan or
No, yeah,
Kevin
yeah,
Nash
that's
or
true.
And have 'em
these
change
guys.
everything.
ROH
show and do things their way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Nothing against Gangrel, but if they start bringing in older guys
Yeah.
and that are not putting in younger talent.
Dude, if Gangrel shows up with the blood, I'm there.
Now,
I'll
I will
there,
say-
but I'm not saying he does that. I'm
Ring
saying
of Fire entrance too, sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm saying if they start bringing older guys and start
No, I know
pushing
what you
them,
mean,
yeah.
that's what I
I think
meant.
it's more of the you're saying like if they're not evolving with the time.
Yeah.
Yes,
The main
Yeah,
event.
if you
Now-
don't push the actual homegrown talent or newer talent.
exactly. As big as
And
Ring of Honor is
invest in the
getting,
future.
yeah, it's Ring of Honor right now is getting. It's the. I'm not saying it's the be all end all for the independents, but a lot of younger guys aspire to get there. But
Yeah.
then their ultimate step is to make some money in WWE. I think
Yeah.
most
Yeah.
people would say that. So
Mm-hmm.
that is, or even New Japan, the way New Japan's going.
Yeah,
So-
New Japan's really making a lot of because they are making moves with the Revolution Pro, Ring of Honor, and everything. So I think New Japan's becoming that hard number 2 worldwide. I think the only thing I'll say to that point where you say Ring of Honor, they're bringing in like PCO. I know has been signed, but then again, PCO's kind of like reinvented himself. For an
Yeah.
old school guy, he's completely changed. He didn't just stick with the old thing and come back. He worked out. He's reinvented himself. He's doing like freaking topes and everything. I was like, dude, you're like 50. How are you doing that? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But
Quebecer.
yeah, seriously.
Yeah. So Tez, what about you? Would anything make you stop watching wrestling?
Man, I really can't think of any. I really got to the point where I enjoy watching wrestling like I would enjoy any other type of fiction or procedural show on TV.
Yeah, just to
yeah.
get away from it.
It's
Yeah.
just a great form of entertainment and something. And because we have such a variety of these things, I can always jump from one thing to another.
Yeah.
If one promotion isn't quite doing something interesting. Hi, Impact Wrestling, how you doing? At least for a time, that was them.
Yeah.
Yes.
For real.
And
For real.
And we just went to death about that. But
Well,
it would have to be something like borderline unethical. That would have to get me to stop watching any promotion in particular. And I was almost there with WWE with the whole Crown Jewel thing.
Yeah, I think a lot of folks were.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
and we don't
that's-
really have to. Yeah, we don't have to get into all that, especially with the updates from the news that came out a couple of weeks later after
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
That's true.
yeah, that was highly ethical things like that can get me to stop watching a promotion for a good amount of time.
Like I said, it can get me to stop watching a promotion, but then again, I'll just like, oh, look at all these DVDs.
There's
And
always everything else.
I feel like
Yeah, exactly. It's like I can watch. hey, I can watch this similar type of show but with a different cast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's and I've said this before. Wrestling is basically a male soap opera.
Yep.
And there's
Mm-hmm.
other soap operas going on at the same time.
Yeah.
So if one soap opera is boring,
Exactly.
just watch another one.
If you're mad at the soap opera where the wedding is taking forever, fine. Then jump to the one where the wedding already happened and now
Yeah.
they're.
If you don't like General Hospital anymore, go to the Young and the Restless.
And that's
Exactly.
and the funny part is that's even with Japan now, because like ever since New Japan World took off, I think Dragon Gate has their own version of their network. I think Pro Wrestling Noah is working on something. So it's like, I'm mad at New Japan. Oh, hello Dragon Gate. I'll just watch you for like 2 months.
Congrats to Pac, by the way, new Dragon Gate
Congrats to
champion.
Pac.
WWN has a network
Yeah.
Yes.
and all that stuff. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the network changed everything. So, so those are kind of the things about us and some of the questions we have. All those things we asked. How would you answer them? Feel free to comment. Leave us a comment here on this post.
Let us know.
Comment on the
Somewhere
YouTube.
up here.
You know, let us get to know you, the listeners, a little bit better. How much you enjoy
The
wrestling.
biggest thing I want for the listeners to answer is maybe if they can think of someone that they would want us to interview next.
Yes.
Because we did interview Chris Marvel and that went really well.
I did think of someone, by the way. And
well, there's a few, me and JC were talking about.
We're
a few
brainstorming.
people.
We're just trying to see
We were
if we
trying
line
to
it
figure
up.
out who.
Simply
Oh.
Luscious.
Yeah.
I might let
Okay.
you do that one.
Oh.
Yeah.
You probably know her better than I would. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I would love to see you interview Lance Hoyt
Yes.
for the hatred you have.
I would.
Both of them have.
I'll do it for the team, but yeah.
And I also
forget
said
Lance Hoyt.
Vex.
Just make
Sean
sure
Vex.
If I get to do that one, let's do that.
Make sure
I
it's
wanna
a
get
cheap
to do that.
table whenever you interview Lance Hoyt.
Yeah, he
Can I-
got to put you through a table.
Can I wear a raincoat?
No.
Damn.
Okay.
So anyway, we're gonna get into a little bit of wrestling news that's been going on. There's actually quite a bit that's been going on between events here. Oh, cat's bothering us
Our
here.
cat's going to the table. Sorry.
First thing I'll talk about is
Cat in the studio? What?
the last two episodes
get
of
away from me.
Raw have gotten
Yes, our
bad
cat's name's
reviews
Nacho.
and low ratings. It's still, like, most recent, this one was like one of the lowest rated Raws in like forever. And it's funny, when the last time there was a brand split, Raw was like, I remember it being so much better than SmackDown. That was like the consensus. Now it's reversed.
Yeah.
People love SmackDown, hate Raw, and I don't quite understand it. I don't know if people are just tired. AJ Styles. I think people are just sick and tired of this
3 hours.
3 hours
Yeah,
is
That's
part of
probably
it.
not
Part of
helping.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this whole tried and true corporate storyline thing that they have with Baron Corbin, like in Power Trip as well. So
Boring.
Right.
So
You know,
boring.
Yeah. And Alexa Bliss running the women? Come on. Jeez.
That's really really dumb.
Totally unrealistic.
Change the
no one will
channel.
believe it.
she's look. Let's face it, the women's division is the best part of that show. It's because of her.
The women's division probably is the best part of Raw.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Let's stop and think about that. The irony is the women's division probably is the best part of Raw, not because of Alexa Bliss. Let's just make that clear.
Yep.
But it's like
Because she's not wrestling.
there's that.
So mean, so mean.
But the women's division actually is really
so mean.
more worth watching on Raw right now. I mean, Ember Moon,
No.
Ronda Rousey,
Yep.
Yeah,
Nia Jax.
The
Still got
Injurer,
Sasha
yeah.
Nia Jax,
Bailey.
Tamina, they're getting that
Yeah,
over big.
Right?
Oh.
Sasha and
It's the
Bailey.
most intriguing
Sasha.
storyline right now. You know.
Yeah.
Well, let's face it. We all know Strowman's going to show up at TLC and
I
just
hope
knock the
so.
crap out of Corbin.
Yeah.
Well, that said, I know we're going to be predicting TLC next week, but
Yes.
let's go on the assumption that Corbin loses. Who's the new Raw general manager?
Dear God, I hope it's not Alexa Bliss.
Well, I don't think it's going to be Alexa Bliss.
Oh, you don't?
Gold
I
dust.
That'd be great.
First of all, news has come out today. Mark Henry, recording this on Tuesday. Mark Henry's talked on Busted Open Radio. He's talking with Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss is cleared to wrestle again, finally, after multiple
What if
concussions.
it's Mark Henry?
I think it's going to be Matt Hardy
What if it's Mark
with
Henry?
his
No.
broken
Yes.
brilliance as the general manager. Yes.
Brother Nia.
Wonderful.
Now,
Brother
if that
Nero?
could,
I want this to
I
happen.
was gonna say, if that could not just be storyline, but actually let him write some stuff.
Let him
Yeah.
write.
Oh,
let
man.
him book.
Yes.
Well, that would be
You
nice.
give that man the card. Oh my
Let
god.
Matt Hardy.
I want Vanguard one patrolling all the matches. Put a referee shirt on it. Have it hovering around. I want to see that on Raw every week.
That's the new hard cam. They have to cut promos to that camera too.
Yes.
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 I want someone to walk into his office and it's like all the pictures are sideways.
What
There's
if-
random drapery.
What if it's Rhino?
Right.
Ooh.
Well, yeah. No, well, that's a good segue,
Actually,
babe.
that's a segue.
Someone's looking at the note.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Rhino recently for those that watched Raw yesterday, we didn't. We were going to take the kids to see Santa.
I saw a clip of it.
They
Yeah,
basically
sounds
forced Heath Slater and Rhino into a match where the loser loses his job. Heath Slater won.
God's kids.
He's got kids. He got a job, although his job now is as a referee.
Yeah.
Well, let's face it. Heath Slater as a referee could be pretty damn entertaining.
It could be. I thought about that. I was mad at first. I was like, no, wait, this could be brilliant.
Yeah. So, but anyway, Rhino was fired, but apparently there's multiple reports that he addressed the live crowd during the commercial break and announced his retirement. I think he's going to be working one more WWE like live event tour that they're about to take, like a European tour. I can't remember exactly where it is. And then that's it. He's just retiring. Multiple wrestlers have addressed this online. Gail Kim being one of them, who joked that he just doesn't age. Which, when you think about it, it's probably right.
It's true.
Yes,
it's pretty accurate.
Watch ECW 2000, Rhino, and it looks exactly the same, just with just a little smaller. That's it.
It's like he's black. He
Seriously, right, for real.
I kid. Wow.
He does not crack.
Yeah.
Him and R-Truth.
He wouldn't be a bad
true.
GM. I wouldn't be a bad GM. He's not a big backstage vignette.
What if our truth?
Oh my god.
Oh my god, please let R-Truth be the GM of Raw. Please, God, please, Jesus. Please, please.
He's going to be the GM of the women's division just so he can book himself for a title.
That's true.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just him getting himself a title match every week.
He's gonna
Against Ronda Rousey.
He'll put himself in a European title match.
What if he walks in? What if he walks in while they're about to announce who the general manager is, and he's like, "Wait a minute, I'm on SmackDown."
Yeah.
I want to do that every week. I want to do that every week anyway.
My bad.
Then Stephanie or somebody goes, "No, actually, you're gonna be the general manager."
Yeah, that would be hilarious.
That would be great.
But anyway, Rhino, if this is really it for you, this is your retirement. Thank you for all the memories.
Absolutely.
Congrats on a great career.
Gore.
Old ECW, TNA.
You get to meet him.
Yeah, we did.
Showing up at a BOW show where you wrestled
Rob Conway.
Thank you.
Yes.
Which was
The last true ECW champion.
Yes, the last true ECW champion.
Yeah, the last true ECW champion.
Yes. So thank you again, and great to see you. When he came back, he was at NXT, which is great because he'll put some younger guys up and give them the business.
And I do think the stuff with him and Heath Slater was some of the most entertaining stuff that happened in a while.
Yeah.
That was so funny.
When he would walk around just eating crackers.
Yes.
And don't forget, they were the first tag team SmackDown champions.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's how Heath Slater got
because
a
Heath's
job.
job was on the line.
I got kids. I need this job.
I need this job. I'll job.
Yeah.
That's right.
Speaks to
I still need to get. Somebody needs to get JC that shirt.
I got kids.
Yes, I got kids.
Oh, yeah.
Christmas is coming up,
Please
guys.
do it, Tina.
I wear an
Please
XL.
do it.
I can't do it. He sees it on my credit card statement.
I wear an XL.
I'll see what I can do.
Christmas is coming up. Anyway, next thing I had here was about Impact Wrestling. We mentioned how much Impact Wrestling has improved over the years.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, their Pop TV deal is set to expire, and it doesn't look like it's going to get renewed. Pop has moved them to a later time slot because they're bringing in some other show into it. So it's interesting to me that this is happening, especially because Impact has got their homecoming show coming up where they're going back to Nashville.
I wish I could go to that.
And they got some big things
That's
here.
awesome.
Brian Cage, storyline wise, has invoked Option C, so he's given up the X Division title for a title shot at Johnny Impact / Johnny Nitro / Johnny Mundo / John Morrison / Johnny insert name here
Turtle doves and a
Slash Johnny
partridge
Hottie.
and a pale
/
tree.
Johnny Abs, as Tina would call him.
I just said Johnny Hottie.
Johnny Hottie. There we go. See, yeah.
Slash Lucky Johnny. He's married to Taya Valkyrie.
So we did a Twitter poll. We can kind of discuss this a little bit. There were three networks that were the front runners to land Impact if they're going to move TV stations. There was Sci-Fi, True TV, and WGN America. 47% said Sci-Fi, 40% True TV, 13% said WGN America. Personally, I voted for WGN America because I thought they kind of got a hit of it with All In having the pre-show.
That's
and it was
fair.
one of the more higher rated. I thought, hey, they may make a really big play for this. So.
They could still. You never
Yeah.
know.
Sci-Fi was interesting to me that most people voted for that because they're under the same umbrella that USA Network is. And
I
if
forgot
they
about
were
that.
to sign
I forgot about
Impact,
that.
that would be
Whoa.
Kind of a conflict of interest.
yeah.
But
I
I
don't
think
think
potentially.
I don't think they would allow that.
Well, first of all, if they do get on Sci-Fi and they're a lead-in for Krypton season 2, awesome. I can watch Wrestling in Krypton.
My God.
Yeah. It's pretty good. That show's pretty good.
That show's awesome. So we're waiting for season
But
Yeah,
I
we're
think with
waiting
that,
for season two.
Sci-Fi is just the biggest of those channels. I think.
Yeah, I think Sci-Fi's
I
probably
mean,
the most
well,
exposure, so-
unless you want, hey, stay tuned after Impact. We got Sharknado 10.
That's right.
You know,
Jericho
so-
was like.
Are those movies still being made? God, my book better take off. I swear to
And
God.
Rob Van Dam was in one of those.
Yeah.
Okay, the fact that Sharknado and Twilight were a thing, my book better be like by next year. Better be like a freaking miniseries.
Yes, we'll link Tommy's book at the bottom.
Yeah, well, I'll try and grab
Somewhere
it.
over
Somewhere
by
here.
Get it for a Christmas gift for your friends. You need to buy that too.
Anyway, so I don't know. Is
They
there
give
any
me an audition, Tommy.
book
You need to
yesterday?
buy one.
Yeah, it's
I'm working on
pretty good one.
hardcovers right now, so I'll let you know
Yep.
when those for everyone.
I'm waiting on the hardcover so I can get that autographed.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm gonna buy
Yeah, there
two.
you
One
go.
to put on eBay after it's autographed too.
Screw you. Well, come here, bro.
Yeah, I'm buying two. What do you care? Anyway, I don't know. What do you guys think? Is there any other network besides these, or which network do you think these Impact could move to if it does move?
My only other thing would maybe possibly if they were just going crazy was CW. That's about it. That's the only other thing I could think of.
CW has a full lineup though. That is a nice
I
choice,
know.
but they have a full lineup.
That's true.
But there's not a lot of
Yeah.
other channels or stations you can really think of.
Plus,
Yeah.
it's a network TV station, so I don't know. I mean, they're not pulling the ratings for network TV, but
Yeah.
I like the idea. I like where you're going with that.
Yeah,
They could eventually get there.
just because they like since they do have so many solid shows as it is, like one more could like help the exposure for everyone. That's all I can think of.
That's true.
Of the three, sci-fi I think would be cool. My second pick would be WG in America, and I don't know why some people pick True TV.
Which is a Turner station, I think. I don't know why.
I mean,
yeah.
I had nothing against True TV just for a wrestling program. I just don't understand why that was.
Maybe the Lifetime Network.
What
Dude.
Why
stations-
not?
Oh,
What
yeah,
stations
yeah.
were they
yeah.
on before? Because
They were
I was thinking
on-
HGTV.
HGTV. Hell yeah.
Hey,
bring back the old In Your House
But
set.
hey,
Yeah.
Buy it
if
from
they-
WWE.
I'm a
there you
part-time
go.
janitor. I'm a stay-at-home mom. Our budget is $1.8 million.
Have an actual house show.
Yeah.
I see what you did there.
I'll see my own way out.
But hey, if Impact went to Lifetime,
Oh, wait,
if
I'm
I
not
could
here.
watch Impact Wrestling and immediately followed by Golden Girls, hell yeah.
Hey, Impact Wrestling and then
Oh,
switch to
Thank you for
Birth.
being a friend.
I want that to be the intro song to their next show.
Yeah.
Just the same footage, just with that song.
Yeah, just
and I'm
images
good.
of Matt Side under the shooting star press with his name flashing on the screen.
Yeah. Impact has fallen from where were they before? Was it Spike TV?
They're Spike
which is,
TV.
Which has
Right.
kind of gone away
Spike
now.
TV, yeah.
Yeah.
They're Paramount Network now.
Paramount.
Paramount Network, yeah.
Yeah. Pop TV, which was funny. Pop TV used to be that channel you used to watch to see the TV guide scroll.
TV Guide.
And if you
Yeah.
missed it, you're like,
Well,
dang it.
yeah.
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 Gotta get
wow.
come around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I hated that channel.
I did too.
Yeah.
I did too only because
A lot of us did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did too only because the second I was looking for something, I would look away and it would already be like in the next. I was
Yes.
like, fuck,
Yeah.
what was going
The
on?
TV Guide took up.
I was like, man,
You
I gotta
take up
wait
the whole
again.
screen, and then year by year, it took up like a third, and then maybe
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
one line at the bottom.
And you're like, what's the point of that?
Like they're trying to tell us they have a plan for something.
Yeah.
Right.
I wonder what it is.
Feel free. I mean, if for everyone that voted on Twitter poll, thank you. So, anybody else have any ideas, or we're just gonna move on? All right. The last bit of news I have here, and this is interesting, is the All Elite Wrestling promotion. So, as some of us, I think many people know, Cody and the Young Bucks, our Ring of Honor's contracts are set to expire, I believe, at the end of January or
I think like
End of this
beginning
year?
of January.
beginning of January.
Like,
yeah. So,
right around Wrestle Kingdom
Oh,
is like when all their contracts expire.
yeah.
Because there
so
was
right around the
a
corner, practically.
because there was a rumor that they were all gonna show up at like Rumble or something because they were. Gonna
There's a rumor that Cody has kind of squashed. He said on the Jericho Cruise they're working on All In 2, and he's kind of made a point to say he's going to win the title. He's acknowledged my contract's expiring. I'm going to be Jay Lethal for Ring of Honor title, and I'm going to leave the promotion with it, a la CM Punk, Summer of Punk era kind of thing.
Yeah.
So the reason why this is interesting is because there's been a lot of reports, a lot of trademarks filed that's linking Cody Rhodes and the rest of the Elite to Shahid Khan, who is the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And even to the point where they Cody and Brandy Rhodes were actually in the owner's box for the Jaguars versus Colts game this past Sunday. So get away there. Damn cats having fun with the wires.
Nacho, get away.
Anyway,
Nacho.
so
Nacho was on the podcast.
Yeah, he is.
Nacho, leave it.
He's all tied up in the cords. Hold on, I'll get him.
okay, hey, one moment, please. Da-na-na-na.
Technical difficulties.
Nacho.
No, you don't have the money to pay for that.
Yes, get away, buddy. Okay.
Get away from here.
Playing with the wires. Playing with the wires. This guy wants to be on the show. Wants to be on the show.
No, the video did not just get cut.
We don't want you here.
One moment, please.
Anyway.
You don't even go here.
So some interesting part, back to wrestling, about to All Elite Wrestling, is that some trademarks were recently filed for All Elite Wrestling and All In Double or Nothing. And these were registered to an LLC.
Double or Nothing. I like that.
I like the name of that, if that is
that.
true. It's registered to an LLC using the address of TIAA Bank Field, which is the home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. So this seems like it's going to be the next big promotion coming up. CM Punk was asked about this, and he said he would listen to an offer. Which, in anything that you do...
Oh, my God.
That's the first time he's ever said something.
Yeah, it is.
First of all,
And the internet broke.
if you get offered anything, you should always listen to an offer. So at least acknowledge that.
Yeah.
They asked him, well, didn't you get offered at All In to work that? He's like, no. They said, if you want to do something, let us know. That's not an offer. That's just like, whatever,
Well, in their defense, they were over budget already as it was.
They sold like everything from that show.
Yeah.
So now they got to buy it all again.
And for what it's worth, if y'all remember when Punk went on Cabana's podcast years ago, he constantly said, I'm done with wrestling. And then he said at one point, he's like, you know what? I'll go wrestle the Bucks. Because he loved wrestling when it was him and his buddies driving in a car. So that idea's been out there for a while. It's just never...
It's been like, 5 years now, right?
Yeah.
He's just soured on what WWE, and then he's got friends in WWE that have told him it's changed.
Yeah.
And he'd like to believe that, but I think the legal issues is a big thing.
Yeah, that's never gonna happen again.
Never say never wrestling.
you're right.
Yeah.
It could happen when you're down the line.
Never say never.
I mean, nobody ever thought Bret Hart and
Him
Vince
and
McMahon would
Triple
speak
H
again.
shaking hands.
Yeah, like the Bret Hart Shawn Michaels moment.
Even then.
I must have found out 5 chairs simultaneously when that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's some... Punk is in the history books, in modern history at least.
Yeah, he is.
He's still 434, the modern record for holding the WWE Championship. So, it's just interesting, first of all, if this promotion is happening, and if they're able to land a TV deal, oh my God.
I've never been averse to multiple promotions having TV deals,
Right.
because
And I hope this promotion travels too, because if they come through here, go.
because
We're going.
Yeah.
because the more wrestling is on TV, the more everyone else has to try. That was the biggest problem I always feel with WWE was when WCW and ECW had no choice; they had to close. It was a good ththing that Vince bought both because he saved the video libraries and everything. We have them now and everything.
Yep.
But it's like they didn't have a choice there. But now there was that void that they were it. TNA was started in 2002, which is the very next year, and Ring of Honor did too. But they weren't big, at all.
Not at first.
And you want competition in a way because it makes you want to do better.
Yeah.
Because you have like,
Exactly.
oh man, I got to do better to keep up with them.
Yeah.
But even then, you don't necessarily have to be competition. I know Hogan at one point tried to
they
move
will
TNA to Mondays.
That was so
which was dumb.
stupid.
It was
That was hilarious.
yes.
It was hilarious though. It was. But it
It's
was
like-
so
That was
stupid.
the dumbest thing.
Oh my God, I
Hogan and
hated
Bischoff
that.
just win, stole a bunch of money. And left.
Where Pop
Yeah,
TV
that's
was,
true.
where Pop TV and Anthem were smart with Impact is like as soon as they announced that NXT was going to be on Wednesdays on the network, they moved Impact to Thursdays.
Yeah.
Said, look,
Yeah.
we're an alternative.
Smart.
We're not trying to compete. It's smart. At least we're keeping our ratings.
And that was always the smart thing I'd like with Ring of Honor. They had their 1 hour shows on early morning Saturdays or Saturday nights, everything.
Saturdays.
They were never competition with anybody. If they happened to run at the same time, that's just what happened. They were never trying to challenge.
and it's great for everybody because
Yeah.
you get wrestling every day of the
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and can you remember when, I guess depending on where you lived and what promotions were running what and what was syndicated and what was being broadcast live or taped, you remember how great it was to practically have wrestling programming on TV every day of the week?
Yeah.
definitely.
We're coming back to that. On top of that, streaming.
Who
So-
didn't enjoy waking up on Saturday and watching WCW Superstars
Yeah.
from Universal
or
Studios?
or WWF Livewire. Or
Yeah,
whatever,
Livewire.
what have you. Yeah.
Velocity,
Well,
Sunday Night
You
Heat.
didn't put
Shotgun Saturday night.
Metal.
going into that. JC didn't put this on here,
Shotgun
but
Saturday night.
Yeah.
JC didn't put this in the paper. But how about the fact that takeover for WrestleMania weekend's being moved?
Yeah, I was going to address that
Yeah.
next. I forgot to type it in here, but that's
Forgot
another
to
bit of
type it in
news.
here.
I am sorry. It is big news, and WWE has tried to spin this a little bit, but WrestleMania weekend, the formula has always been, now with the big pay-per-views, this started after, basically with last year's WrestleMania in 2017, was we do Hall of Fame Friday, TakeOver Saturday, pay-per-view Sunday, Raw and SmackDown Monday and Tuesday. Some news has just come out that TakeOver has been moved to Friday WrestleMania weekend, with the Hall of Fame taking place on Saturday. And this is interesting because, okay, cat's going crazy again. Thanks, Tommy. You got cat duty. Yeah. He wants to be on the show. He's in a weird mood. Anyway.
Nacho, stop.
Anyway, welcome back.
We're definitely getting to know
this
the
is interesting
WrestleCasters.
because there was such an interesting dynamic with Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling co-promoting a show at Madison Square Garden that WrestleMania Saturday. And WWE has kind of tried to block that because, Madison Square Garden's our territory. You haven't run out of MSG in like
I
long ass time.
I couldn't believe he had threw a fit about that. I was like, dude, are you kidding me?
We're rejoicing the fact that NXT is moving to Friday because we can go to NXT TakeOver.
I know all of us are looking at
Everyone's looking
the
at
cat. We're all just like,
yeah, this is awesome. I wish I could record this, but
don't hit the wire.
he's fine. We're all rejoicing because we can watch NXT TakeOver on Friday. Then we can watch Ring of Honor New Japan Supercard on Saturday, and then you get WrestleMania Sunday, which is awesome. WWE's trying to spin this as like, well, some people were saying that they were going to come in on Saturday just so they can see TakeOver. We wanted them to also be a part of the Hall of Fame and how important this is, so we're going to move it so they can come in for the Hall of Fame.
Vince is full of crap.
Look, Vince, this is nothing against the Hall of Fame. People that go in are very deserving. But, man, that is long. First of all, I think you should limit every year the number of people that go into the Hall of Fame. It is outrageous. You have like 9 or 10 people now. I like the Warrior Award. I like the celebrity wing thing.
Yeah.
But now it's kind of like oversaturating it to where you get like a physical Hall of Fame. You're not gonna have a space.
Yeah.
I feel like. Yeah. Make it mean something even more. Make there like a fan demand for it even. Or even wait 5 years after they retire before you put them in, like the NFL does, or if they pass away. So
give a rule.
Yeah, you got to have some standard to it.
You take some inspiration from the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Or baseball too, the same thing.
Baseball,
they make you wait 5 years, or if you pass away, you go in earlier, that kind of thing. So, or your name is Wayne Gretzky in the case of the Hockey Hall of Fame. It's like, oh, you're retired, yeah, you can just go in. And we'll retire your numbered league wide while we're at it. Yeah. So.
Right here. Here you go.
Yeah. But this is big news. I think we all rejoiced, and I think we can all agree. TakeOver moved to Friday. WrestleMania weekend was just awesome.
Yeah.
So
it's 5 days of wrestling.
I love it.
Yes.
5 days.
And Ring of Honor will be in San Antonio January 26th.
So awesome.
Plus, there's a day break.
And we're back. My cat.
Right.
What do you mean back? Nothing has changed.
Yes,
We've
right.
been here the whole time.
No, I'm going to do something technical
That's a
difficult.
blooper
Nacho.
reel right
Crazy
there.
cat. This is
Get
to know your WrestleCasters. We have 2 cats in this house. We have 2 cats in this house. The older one's name is Ignacio. Nacho for short. Nacho Libre was part of the inspiration why I named him that. And
I'm allergic to both, by the way.
Swear to God, if I can
He's
get
fine.
if I could put a lucha mask on him, it'd be great.
And our other cat is Sheldon, who's scared of everything.
So he's
upset.
probably asleep. Wish Nacho would do that too, but.
I wish somebody had footage of the cat.
Yeah.
Of like Nacho like running through the wire.
Let's just
I
put
wish
it
I had
this
been
way.
recording with my phone.
When I do a blooper reel, that's gonna be hilarious. Anyway.
Get you a GoPro facing him and have a little.
Really, we're gonna put a camera. Yeah, exactly.
We should.
Cat cam.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, the funny part is we're at the end of the episode. We're happy we almost made it.
Done.
I'm done.
So, again, how would you answer all these questions? What are your thoughts on some of the things we addressed here? Feel free to comment, Facebook or on the YouTube page here. Also want to share some news that the Countdown City Geekcast has been nominated for Best Podcast by San Antonio Magazine's Best in the City Awards. I'm going to have a link.
Jolly good show.
Thank you, everyone.
Jolly good show.
I'm going to have a link in the video description. You can vote once a day on that page through the end of
That's
December.
definitely down.
What are y'all pointing at?
I don't
It's
know.
down there somewhere.
Yeah.
It's somewhere here.
Did the
in
cat
this-
knock that over too?
Did he?
Just look at where
Crap,
they're
he did.
pointing.
From our live show at Dragon's Lair,
I can't see it either. Don't worry.
Oh, I make a cameo at the Dragon Lair show.
Yes, Mike does make a cameo. I addressed this on the Dragon's Lair show as well. Just how much joining this podcast for me has been great. It allowed us the avenue to eventually start the WrestleCast. They're looking for some new content. Mike, you, Tina, and I and Tommy even, we had discussed doing a podcast. Ty as well, actually. We talked about doing a podcast.
Originally, our podcast was going to be named 321.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you
We won't say why, but Eamon would have been part of it. We're not going to say why.
This is a countdown,
Miss-
right?
Miss-
Yes,
it's a
countdown.
Please tell
Sure.
them why. Please tell them why.
We'll go with
I'll
that.
tell you why.
No, we're not going to tell us why.
I can say why.
No.
But, no.
Okay, Tommy, say why.
No, we're good.
No.
Okay,
Countdown,
fine.
obviously countdown.
It's not.
Obviously, countdown.
Yes,
Oh yeah,
countdown.
obviously,
We'll
yeah.
go with that.
Look at San Antonio, Countdown City.
That's
Anyway,
exactly.
yes.
There you go.
Anyway.
It's nothing
Yeah.
bad.
Jesus.
It's nothing bad.
No, it's kind of humorous, but
I
yeah.
think they bought it.
Edit this out.
Technical difficulties. Okay.
Is it
Oh,
still
come on,
on?
Cat.
Anyway,
I mean, it wasn't anything bad.
no, it wasn't. But
we're just really silly.
yeah,
I
we
mean,
are.
you can.
We're sorry,
Never
JC.
mind.
It's okay.
We're just dumb.
Anyway, I wanted to say that this is also Crohn's and Colitis Awareness Week. I've addressed this a little bit myself on Countdown City Geekcast live show. Earlier this year in February, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. It's something, for those that don't know, it's basically an autoimmune disease where my body is attacking my intestines over and over. So most people get afflicted by this. Earlier in life, I'm 36 when I was diagnosed, and I'm 37 now. Lost 50 pounds because of it. It's not the weight loss plan you want. Yeah.
They asked him about it, but
No,
he said no.
nope.
Yeah. Mike was like, New Year, was like, I just want to get down to JC's weight. And then I did this. He's like, oh, screw that.
Yeah, then yeah, never mind.
You know, it wasn't a whole fun ordeal, but
No, it was not.
it was not.
Let me just tell you, even with him being sick, it was really rough on me.
It was. I have a great support system. I've learned a lot about the disease over the year, and most recently, I've discovered a comedian by the name of Ben Morrison, who was diagnosed with Crohn's disease when he was in high school, senior year of high school, and he has made a living. He's been in acting. He was on like season 3 of Punk'd, and he has a one-man show called Pain in the Ass, where he talks all about Crohn's disease. And one thing that he mentioned in there is that if you have Crohn's, the best thing you can do is talk about it. It's great therapy. And
Cat almost
not
knocked down the
knocked
thing.
down
the
the
tree, yes. It's Christmas time. It's a nightmare. Anyway, the cat's a pain in the ass.
But you love him.
I love him. I really do. He's my little boy.
I need to borrow some swag.
I saw what you did there. I saw it.
Anyway, joining this podcast, the Countdown City Geekcast, and starting up the Countdown City WrestleCast has been great therapy for me. You guys have all been a great support system. Everyone on this, just getting to talk wrestling. The diet for me has been the easy part, and if anyone out there is affected with it, it's not. But most people was like, well, I have to treat myself. No, you really have to have a strong discipline to stick to it.
He will not eat cheese to save.
No,
He will not.
JC does not want to go back
And
in
I'm
the
over
hospital.
here like, I love cheese.
Yes. So anyway,
Yeah, I'm very proud
for
of
those
him.
of you that may be watching, and if you are affected with Crohn's disease, please don't hesitate. If you just need someone to talk with about it, send me a message. Comment on here. I can send you a private message if you want to talk without it.
If you're a caregiver, you're more than happy to email
Yeah.
me as well.
You're not
'Cause
alone.
It's not an easy thing. Also, as a spouse,
Yes.
let alone a parent, and probably.
You're not alone. And the biggest thing, and I, everyone's always telling me, oh, you're sick. The biggest thing I had to say was, you know what? I have a disease. It is not who I am.
Right.
Yeah.
And I have told myself that, I'm still me. I'm stronger now. I feel more confident now. Honestly, of all things, because I found out I have this, I feel more stronger, confident. My life has changed a lot over the last year, but I believe it's gotten
the
better.
better.
Yes, definitely for the better. And I've learned I'm not alone in this when I thought I was. Doctor told me I had Crohn's disease. I didn't even know what the hell Crohn's was. You figure when it's named after somebody, either the person that first got it or the doctor that discovered it, it's not good.
See, I've always thought like an old witch-like lady, like a crone.
Yeah, right.
I kind of thought to the very first time I'd ever heard of it, I was like, okay, weird name.
Well, the
whatever.
first time,
Yeah, so-
the first time we heard about it, we were trying to find it online, and we kept spelling it wrong.
Yeah, couldn't
Yeah.
spell it right. I spelled it
Yeah.
wrong. So For all you Crohn's warriors, for all you cronies as I call them,
Cronies.
you have a support
Rolling
system.
with
so
the
well.
cronies.
Rolling with the cronies, yeah. So the all probiotics is
Oh,
what my name
Lord.
is. Yeah, so
Yes, next year we're gonna be the all probiotics for the
so
world.
thank you everybody on this Geekcast, even the guys that are not here or the WrestleCast, for being my support system. This has helped me cope in more ways than you guys will ever realize. So
Awesome.
getting to talk wrestling has been amazing. So
Hooray!
hooray, thank you.
Yay.
Huzzah!
Yes. Hashtag my IBD. I've looked those up to see other people's stories. So
Link it up.
look it up. Twitter account at CCG_WrestleCast and subscribe to Countdown City Geeks YouTube channel for more Geekcast episodes. Next week, we'll be back to preview Ring of Honor Final Battle and WWE TLC. So, on the phone, we have Tez.
Yo!
All right. Over there, we got Mike.
Hashtag and Mike.
And Mike. Over here, we got Tommy.
Thanks, guys.
My wife, Tina.
Bye, guys.
And I'm JC. And as always, heels and baby faces. Remember, pro wrestling is real. People are fake.
People are fake.